Chapter 23-24. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian's nonchalant speech was devoid of any emotion, but it was accompanied by the sound of rain. It was enough to shock everyone present like they were struck by lightning. As soon as she said this, everyone present took a few deep breaths, stunned on the spot. Yunjian said, "What?" Everyone present knew about Yunjian's background. She was the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years. As for the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years, where she had gone, what she had done, and how she had been found, no one present knew. Because of this, when Luo Jiejun, Wei Min, and the other three heard Yunjian's words, they were all stunned for a moment. "If you want to live, your hands must be stained with blood?" These words deeply touched Luo Jiejun and the others. Yunjian's past life was even worse than Ling Qianqian, who had the worst family in the Imperial Academy and was often ridiculed by her classmates. This made Luo Jiejun's brows knit even tighter. What kind of past did she have? At this moment, although Ling Qianqian was still squatting on the ground, she had already raised her head to look at Yunjian. Her face, which had stopped crying, was pale, but more than that, she was shocked. "You should be glad that you're still alive. Why do you care about other people's opinions? If I did what you did, there would be many people in this world who would want me to die. If I was as decadent as you, I would have lost my life long ago." Yunjian interrupted Ling Qianqian before she could say anything. After that, she didn't want to talk to Ling Qianqian anymore. "Is the father who raised you more important? Or is your worthless dignity more important? You better think carefully." With that, she turned around and slung her shoulder bag over her left shoulder, stepping into the rain that was neither heavy nor light. After Yunjian left, Ling Qianqian was completely silent. She sat on the ground and thought for a long time. Yunjian's actions really shocked Luo Jiejun and the others, especially Luo Jiejun. Watching Yunjian walk into the rain, Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes on his rather handsome face. This scene caused Wei Min to clench her fists again. She was so angry that her entire body trembled, and even the corners of her mouth twitched incessantly. However, just as Wei Min was so angry that her entire body was twitching, Luo Jiejun lifted his leg and actually followed Yunjian's footsteps into the distance. He did not even open his umbrella and chased after her. Yunjian was about to reach the entrance of the academy when she was suddenly stopped. "Wei Lin." Without even turning his head, he could tell from the voice that the person who came was none other than Luo Jiejun. But Yunjian didn't stop. Unexpectedly, Luo Jiejun jogged over to Yunjian. After taking 2 deep breaths, he said to Yunjian, "Tell me, where have you been for the past 10 years? The moment Luo Jiejun caught up, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and Hong Ling also caught up. As the school hunk of the Imperial Academy, this was the first time Luo Jiejun had chased after a girl in the rain. Wei Zhe and Hong Ling were completely dumbfounded. And what made Yunjian's nominal brother, Wei Zhe, even more shocked was what Yunjian had just said. What kind of past did she go through? However, just as Luo Jiejun asked Yunjian this question, Yunjian only coldly glanced at Luo Jiejun and wanted to walk around him to walk out of the academy. There were many students walking around the academy, so Yunjian couldn't start jogging even if she wanted to. Seeing that Yunjian was about to leave, Luo Jiejun directly blocked Yunjian's path and said to Yunjian, "Even if you don't say it, I can understand your pain." These words were rather ambiguous. The moment he said this, Wei Zhe and Hong Ling were even more shocked. Not only was this the first time Luo Jiejun was so concerned about a girl, but what was even more shocking was that this girl was his biological sister, who had been separated from him for 10 years, Wei Lin. Wei Zhe was stunned. Needless to say, Wei Min's expression was obvious. However, just as Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, and Wei Min stared at Yunjian, waiting for Yunjian to explain her whereabouts all these years in the rain, Yunjian suddenly pulled out a faint and cold smile and said in front of everyone, "If I say that I was kidnapped by an assassin organization, would you believe me?" Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Chapter 23-25. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. If I told you that I was kidnapped by an assassin organization, would you believe me? Yun Jian's words stunned Luo Jejun. Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min assassin organization kidnapped her? That to Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min, an assassin organization was an unreachable existence. It was an existence that Luo Jejun and the other three did not even dare to think about. Hence, after hearing Yun Jian's words, the four of them were stunned. After regaining his senses, Luo Jejun's eyes darkened, but he did not seem to believe Yun Jian's words. Wei, Lin, how can you say such things? Be careful that the assassin organization really kidnaps you. That assassin organization is a place to train assassins. How could you? Alright, this is unrealistic, let's not talk about it. Lin, let's go home. Wei Min naturally did not believe Yun Jian's words, but she saw that after hearing Yun Jian's words, Luo Jejun's eyes changed. Even though he did not believe Yun Jian's words, that gaze clearly showed that he was more interested in Yun Jian. Wei Min was a woman, so she could naturally tell what Luo Jejun's gaze meant when he looked at Yun Jian. Wei Min was angry just now, and originally wanted to call Yun Jian by her name, but after considering her image, she changed her words and reached out to grab Yun Jian's hand. Yun Jian dodged to the side and looked at everyone coldly. If you don't believe me, then don't ask anymore. After saying that, she slung her backpack over her shoulder and left in a flash. She was so fast that Luo Jejun and the rest could not turn back in time. Even so, Luo Jejun was more and more interested in Yun Jian. At that moment, Luo Jejun narrowed his eyes and looked at Yun Jian's back as she left. This is getting more and more interesting. Wei Lin, your every move, every word, and every action are truly different from the rest. It's unforgettable. It was 9:30 p.m. The Wei family members usually had a normal schedule. 9:30 p.m. was very early for night cats. But for the Wei family who were used to sleeping early and waking up early, it was already very late. The Wei family was ready to go to bed at 8 o'clock in the evening. At that moment, Yun Jian got up from her bed and walked out of her room. Yun Jian's steps were very light. She didn't even make the slightest sound as she walked through the Wei residence's corridors, stairs, and living room. After leaving the gate of the Wei family's villa, Yun Jian quickly disappeared in the night light. At this moment, in the kitchen of the Wei family villa, Wei Min had just fallen asleep when she suddenly felt thirsty. Half asleep, she went downstairs to get some water. However, just as she poured the water, she saw a black figure flashing through the window in the distance. That person, isn't that Wei Lin? It's so late. Why is she sneaking out? Wei Min, who was still sleepy, suddenly woke up. She quickly ran to the door to change her shoes, took her phone, and chased after Yun Jian. Before she chased in the direction Yun Jian had left, Wei Min made a call. Hello, is this brother Hong Ling? Let me tell you. I just woke up and was thirsty when I went downstairs to drink some water. Then I saw my sister go out in the middle of the night. I'm worried about her, so can you come with me? After Yun Jian left the Wei residence, she came to a relatively lively area near the Wei residence. A yellow Corvette sports car was parked in front of her. Yun Jian walked forward, opened the yellow Corvette sports car, and got in. The car quickly started the engine and left the place. Top reading website, M. Chapter 2326. Page 1/1. It was only after Yun Jian left that a figure popped out from the bushes. Looking closely, wasn't this person Wei Min? Wei Min was currently holding her phone and talking to Hong Ling on the other end of the phone, while looking at the yellow Corvette sports car that Yun Jian was in. Hey, I'm still here. I didn't hang up. I was looking at my sister just now. She's in a yellow sports car. It's really cool. I think it's the latest Corvette sports car. Brother Hong Ling, I'm just worried about my sister. I'm afraid that she's hiding something from us. That's why I contacted you to follow her and take a look. Yes, I'm at Huangjiang Road now. I've called a taxi. I'll send you the location later. Come over quickly. As Wei Min spoke, she flagged down a passing taxi and got in before ordering the driver to follow the yellow Corvette sports car. Inside the yellow Corvette sports car, Yun Jian was in the front passenger seat. Qingyu was in the driver's seat. Qingyu was currently driving the yellow Corvette sports car, cruising slowly on the road. Have you found anything? Yun Jian asked. The information is here. It's the boss of Country Tea's underground black market, who sent someone to assassinate you, Qingyu said as she turned the steering wheel. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes at that. She flipped through the information in her hand manually, before tossing it into the back seat of the sports car. When the information was tossed to the back seat, it drew a beautiful arc and landed firmly on the back seat. Sister Jian, what do you want to do? Qingyu turned the steering wheel and whistled as she asked. I'll leave it to you. Her words determined a person's fate. Yun Jian closed her eyes. The boss of Country Tea's underground black market had sent someone to assassinate her, because Yun Jian had killed Xianyu in Marilena's tomb back then. To Yun Jian, this was just a small fry, nothing more. Okay. Qingyu held the steering wheel with one hand and snapped her fingers with the other, looking relaxed and happy. Sister Jian, the three of them are waiting for you at a coffee shop in front. They'll be here soon, Qingyu added. Yun Jian responded softly. It was then that Qingyu narrowed her eyes and whistled again before saying in a playful tone, You're right. Yo, you're still continuing after following me for so long? Sister Jian, should I shake off the taxi that's been tailing us? Qingyu had already noticed that a taxi was following her sports car unhurriedly. Yun Jian had naturally noticed as well. Let her do as she pleases. Yun Jian pursed her lips and narrowed her eyes. Wei Min, who was sitting in the taxi behind, had already hung up the phone. She was staring at the yellow sports car in front with a pair of eyes that could stare people to death. After a while, the yellow sports car turned a corner in her line of sight and parked in a downtown coffee shop. Wei Min could not help rolling her eyes at Yun Jian inwardly. Wei Lin could actually sit in a high-end sports car. It meant that she must be a mistress of a rich man. Or perhaps, she used to be someone's mistress. After all, she had been missing for 10 years. When an 8-year-old girl was picked up by someone, most of the time, it was with the intention of getting something out of her. It was even like in television dramas, where a little girl who had been lost for 10 years was taken away to be a prostitute. She had to entertain customers every day, and was even ravaged by dozens of men. Wei Min thought that the owner of the car Yun Jian was the man who had taken care of or ravaged Yun Jian in the past. Just as Wei Min thought about it, the person in the car alighted. Yun Jian got out of the car. From the driver's seat, a teenage girl got out. Wei Min was stunned when she saw that it was not a plump middle-aged man who got down from the driver's seat. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 23-27. Soon, Wei Min saw Yun Jian and the girl walking into a coffee shop one after another. Yun Jian walked in front while the girl trailed behind. Moreover, the girl was following Yun Jian like she was facing her superior. Wei Min was stunned by the sight before a flash of annoyance washed over her. Wei Lin must be the mistress of a rich mogul. The mogul must be so fat that one would feel nauseous just by looking at him. The girl behind her should be the mogul's woman. Once she thought about it, Wei Min was infuriated. She was no longer a clean woman. Why did she come back to the Wei family? She even seduced her Jejun Gich. Although Wei Min was angry in her heart, she still forcefully suppressed her anger. She had contacted Hong Ling just now. Once the girl arrived, she would rush in with her. If it was Yun Jian who met the middle-aged man with the beer belly, not only could she expose Yun Jian's facade on the spot, but she would also bring Wei Min along with her. She would tell Luo Jijun the next day that Hong Ling would not lie. Even if Luo Jijun did not believe that Yun Jian was a prostitute, he had to believe it. In the corner of the coffee shop, a screen blocked the view from the entrance. Yun Jian and Qingyu came in and saw Diani, Gui Lian, and Gui Yan. Sister Jian. All three of them greeted in unison when they saw Yun Jian. Diani, Gui Lian, and Gui Yan were the leaders of the Kosha mercenaries intelligence team, assassination team, and intelligence team. The three of them were here to report to Yun Jian what happened after they eliminated Reverse Emperor. There were some things that the Kosha mercenaries could handle on their own, but a lot of important matters had to go through Yun Jian. Hence Diani, Gui Lian, and Gui Yin had to hand it over to Yun Jian personally. Cut the chatter. Speak. Yun Jian sat on a chair in front of the trio and spoke with narrowed eyes. Diani and the other two answered quickly. Outside the coffee shop, Wei Min finally waited for Hong Ling. But she didn't expect Hong Ling to bring Luo Jiejun along. Wei Min originally thought that if Yun Jian didn't meet with the middle-aged man who kept her, then wouldn't she? In spite of it, Wei Min shook her head, thinking that it was great that her handsome brother was here. If Yun Jian was really meeting the middle-aged man who was her sugar daddy, her handsome brother would probably lose interest in her after witnessing it with his own eyes. She's inside. I'm afraid that my sister has something she can't say, so. Wei Min still wanted to put on a show, but Luo Jiejun didn't wait for her to finish speaking and walked into the coffee shop. With that dark face, those who didn't know would think that Luo Jiejun was here to catch them in the act. In fact, Luo Jiejun had heard about Yun Jian from Hong Ling, so he also thought that Yun Jian had abandoned herself to come out in the middle of the night to fool around with men. He wanted to ask her personally why she had fallen so low when she was still so good at teaching others. So Luo Jiejun ignored Wei Min and walked straight into the coffee shop. Just as he entered the coffee shop, he bumped into Yun Jian. Seeing this, Luo Jiejun asked directly, "Who are you meeting with?" Because there was a screen, Luo Jiejun couldn't see the person inside. Yun Jian didn't look surprised when she saw Luo Jiejun. At that time, Luo Jiejun couldn't hear Yun Jian's response. He walked past Yun Jian and the screen angrily. Wei Min and Hong Ling followed after seeing this. Unexpectedly, just as the three of them thought that they would see a fat man with a big belly in front of them, Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min's mouths were suddenly covered. The three of them were shocked. What kind of person could be so fast? To be able to subdue them so quickly? Just as they were about to struggle, there was a sudden cracking sound in their heads. Diani and the other two subdued Luo Jiejun and the other two. Three bright muzzles were placed on Luo Jiejun and the other two's heads. At that time, Yun Jian retreated behind the screen. This was a place where outsiders couldn't see. She glanced sideways at Luo Jiejun and the other two. Then in front of the three of them, as their pupils constricted, she sneered. "You came uninvited? Do you think you've lived for too long?" Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 23-28. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The sudden turn of events caught Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min off guard. Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min reacted abruptly before they heard Yun Jian's sharp and cold voice, and saw that Yun Jian had already appeared before them. The eyes of the three sunk, and a trace of fear flashed across their faces. In an instant, three people pointed their guns at their heads. Obviously, the strength of those three people was stronger than them. They were so strong that they could not even react in time. And the most frightening thing wasn't the sudden appearance of three people behind the large screen in the coffee shop. Nor was it the fact that these three people were armed with pistols. It was these three people who were armed with guns, and were so skilled seemed to be Yun Jian's subordinates. When Yun Jian finished, Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling and Wei Min froze. Especially Wei Min had wanted to get hold of Yun Jian's weakness, thinking that Yun Jian was negotiating with a plump middle-aged man, and could possibly find out where she had gone, and what she had done in the past 10 years, that they had been separated from. In the end, not only did they fail to find out where Yun Jian had gone, and what Yun Jian had done in the past 10 years, they even had a gun pointed at their heads. Wei Min's face turned pale. She was so scared that she shivered. Their mouths were muffled by Diani, Hong Ling, and Hong Ling, while Luo Jiejun was looking at Yun Jian with a scrutinizing frown. He looked like he was interrogating Yun Jian. "Are we going to kill them?" Qing Yu asked as she followed Yun Jian from behind the screen in the coffee shop to stand behind Yun Jian. Qing Yu, Diani, and Hong Ling knew that Yun Jian's current identity was the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin. So Qing Yu did not address Yun Jian as Sister Jian in front of Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling and Hong Ling. The plain words "kill them" made Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min's heart skip a beat. Luo Jejun, Hongling, and Hongling also saw that Dai Annie, Gui Lian, and Gui Yen who were holding them down nodded at Qingyu when she came out from behind the screen. It looked like they were nodding at their superiors. That was the truth. Qingyu was an elder in the Kosha mercenaries, so her status was higher than Dai Annie, Hongling, and Hongling Yunjian's brow arched when she heard what Qingyu said. Then, she curled her red lips and gave a single order, kill. The next day, Luo Jejun woke up groggily on his bed. Luo Jejun reached out to rub his hair. Putting aside the other faults, Luo Jejun really did have some fresh and handsome looks. Yesterday, after Luo Jejun grabbed his hair, he suddenly recalled the scene that happened last night. But in his memories, those scenes were so unreal. Luo Jejun went downstairs and grabbed his school bag. He didn't even have time to eat the breakfast prepared by the servants at home, and ran to school. He went straight to Yunjian's classroom as soon as he entered the school. Yunjian was sitting in her seat. Ah, it's Junxiao. Am I seeing things? It's Junxiao. He's so handsome. Why is Junxiao in our classroom? Ah. When the surrounding girls suddenly saw Luo Jejun's figure, their sharp voices almost rose from their throats. The girls shrieked. Before they could finish screaming, Luo Jejun walked up to Yunjian and looked at Yunjian with an interrogating expression. He then reached out to grab Yunjian's wrist. Who knew that when Luo Jejun reached out to grab Yunjian's wrist, Yunjian dodged to the side and grabbed her deskmate Luo Jechen, who was sleeping on the desk by his collar, and tossed him into Luo Jejun's arms, preventing him from touching him. Luo Jechen was speechless. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Luo Jejun held Luo Jechen up and stared at Yunjian. He then questioned Yunjian in front of everyone in class and the girls. What the hell happened last night? Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 23-29. Luo Jejun was originally a celebrity in the Imperial College. None of the students who studied in the Imperial College didn't know him. Moreover, 80% of the girls in the school secretly had a crush on Luo Jejun. The other 20% were divided among the other school hunks. Seeing this, Luo Jejun had caused a storm as soon as he arrived in Yunjian's classroom. And what made the girls even more shocked was that Luo Jejun actually walked directly to Yunjian's seat. The 4 words last night made the group of crazy Luo Jejun fans in Yunjian's class scream to the peak when they heard it. The young master of the Luo family, Luo Jejun, had stayed away from the girls since he entered the school. It was even said that the young master of the Luo family, Luo Jejun, didn't have a good impression of girls at all. But today, Luo Jejun walked directly to Yunjian and said such shocking words. It made everyone present feel that something happened between Yunjian and Luo Jejun last night. Ah, young Master Jun didn't just come to our classes, Wei Lin. Did something happen between them last night? It's so exciting and explosive. I'm so envious. When will I be able to get young Master Jun's attention like this? That Wei Lin must have accumulated a few lifetimes worth of fortune to have young Master Jun personally come to our class. Young Master Jun even took the initiative to reach out and hold her hand. Young Master Jun is so handsome, ah. I'm about to be charmed to death, ah. The surrounding girls brought the atmosphere to the climax. At this moment, Luo Jejun had already reacted. He suddenly realized that he was lying in his big brother's arms after waking up. He was so shocked that he suddenly jumped up. Damn, big brother, why are you here? What the hell? Why are you looking for Wei Lin? Is your phone broken, and you need Wei Lin to help you fix it? That's not right. Your pocket money wasn't deducted by your family. Luo Jejun was stunned after he reacted and said in shock. At this time, Luo Jejun didn't reply to Luo Jejun. He just stared at Yunjian, as if he wanted to find the answer to his question from Yunjian. Just now, Yunjian was still flipping through the textbook. When she saw Luo Jejun reaching out to grab her wrist, she dodged to the side and directly pulled Luo Jejun's collar and stuffed him into Luo Jejun's arms. At this time, she was still sitting in her seat and flipping through the textbook. Yunjian pressed her lips together at Luo Jejun's words. She did not even look up as she spoke to him calmly. Last night, Don't tell me you've overdone it and got hallucinations. You should go to the hospital for treatment. After saying that, Luo, Yun, SSS Luos, she didn't even raise her S. This way Lin really doesn't know what's good for her. Isis Hala. Ites. S. Hers teat. SSS. Her. Onzon. Is. Of Yin Yuan's. The surrounding girls also started to talk to each other. This had no effect on Yun Jian at all. She actually said that he was hallucinating? Luo Jijun scratched his head. He wasn't spouting nonsense. Yesterday really did seem like a dream. But why did that dream feel so real? Did I really make a mistake? Luo Jijun suddenly asked. As he spoke, he shook his head and did not speak to Yun Jian again. He turned around and walked out slowly. What's wrong with that? Big brother, are you having a wet dream? Seeing that Luo Jejun suddenly reacted and walked out, Luo Jejun smiled and shouted at Luo Jejun from behind. The girls in the class were also shocked when they saw Luo Jejun's reaction. What was going on? At that time, in a place where no one could see, Yun Jian's slightly raised smile flashed past in an instant and disappeared without a trace. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website, M. Chapter 2330. Luo Jejun and the other two couldn't die. That was why Yun Jian only ordered Diani and the other two to knock Luo Jejun and the other two unconscious. After that, Yun Jian hypnotized Luo Jejun and the other two, making what happened last night seem like a dream to Luo Jejun and the other two. Hypnotism was extensive and profound, so it was still possible to do something like this. At night, school was over as usual. As soon as she walked out of the classroom, a cheerful figure ran towards her. It was a girl with a smile on her face. After the girl passed a black bag to Yun Jian, she flashed a wide grin at Yun Jian and said, "Hey Yun Jian. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've already thought it through. You're right, of course my dad's and my so-called worthless dignity is more important than my dad's. Who cares what other people think? My mom and dad were already old when they gave birth to me. My mom unfortunately passed away, so it was my dad who brought me up. Everything I have was given to me by my dad. What can those people who mocked and ridiculed me give me? Why should I care so much about what they think? Let them say what they want. I'm living very well now. My dad will come and pick me up from school today. In the future, he'll send me to school before going to the market to sell vegetables." That's right. The person who came was Ling Qianqian, who smashed the old man's umbrella and cried in the rain yesterday. She didn't expect that after just one night, she had already thought it through. So this is my reward. Yun Jian lifted the pickled cabbage in her hand and said to Ling Qianqian with narrowed eyes. That's right. Although this isn't anything precious, you know my family's financial situation. Haha, when I graduate and earn a lot of money, I'll treat you to a big meal. Ling Qianqian nodded. Ling Qianqian, who had thought it through, was clearly much more optimistic. Then I'll accept it without hesitation. Yun Jian lifted the pickled cabbage in the black bag and carried her bag with her other hand. She slung the bag over her shoulder and turned to leave the school. At this moment, Ling Qianqian didn't know that after she graduated and started working, she would never be able to contact Yun Jian again. Perhaps many years later, Ling Qianqian could still recall Yun Jian, but Yun Jian's appearance in her memory was already a blur in her heart. She could only rely on her memories. She could vaguely remember Yun Jian's always calm and indifferent face with a slight smile. That face was a face that changed her life. In a person's life, they would meet many people. Schoolmates, travelers, people from the same city, people from different countries. When they parted, they would never meet again. They would never meet again in their lifetime. They would never even have a ways contacts contact. If you carefully think about it, you would have remembered many people's faces to think. But perhaps the other party didn't leave a deep impression on you, so you simply ignored them. After Yin left the schools to go. As soon as she arrived, she saw Luo Jejun, Luo Jechen, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe and Wei Min. There were many dining tables in the Wei family's hall. It looked like they were going to hold a small party. They had even invited some rich families and their children to attend tonight's small party. Seeing this, Yunjian walked past them and was about to go upstairs. But at this moment, a 16 or 17-year-old girl dressed like a doll princess suddenly stood in front of Yunjian. She stared at Yunjian with a proud expression and said in front of Wei Min and the others, "This is the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who was found after being missing for 10 years. Please remember the domain name of this book." Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2331. This young girl, who was dressed as delicately as a doll, spoke with the arrogance that only a princess would have. That was something that outsiders could never learn. At that moment, the young girl was examining Yunjian with a probing gaze. It was as if a high and mighty princess was looking at a commoner. However, before Yunjian could say anything, the young girl said, "You're quite pretty, but don't you have any ideas about my big brother? Let me tell you, my future sister-in-law can only be Sister Min. Luo Lanlan, if you say another word, you'll scram home immediately." Just as the young girl finished speaking, a furious voice sounded. Luo Jejun looked at the young girl with a warning expression and spoke. Suddenly hearing her big brother's voice, the young girl named Luo Lanlan was stunned. Then she pouted and continued, "It's true. I like Sister Min." This young girl, who was dressed like a doll, was called Luo Lanlan. She was Luo Jejun and Luo Jechun's biological sister. After hearing Luo Jejun's words, although Luo Lanlan was unwilling, she still twitched the corner of her mouth and resisted. When Wei Min heard Luo Lanlan's words, she was happy for a moment. Even if it was just a little bit related to Luo Jejun, Wei Min would still be very excited. However, on the surface, Wei Min still had to pretend to be a very good sister. She coughed, then pulled Luo Lanlan's hand and said, "Lanlan, Sister Min likes you too. But Lin is also my sister. She left home for more than 10 years and has no one to rely on outside. I feel very sad. I don't know what kind of life she's living outside." As she spoke, Wei Min wiped the corners of her eyes that did not have any tears at all. "Sister Min, you're so nice. It's Big Brother's fortune to have married you." Luo Lanlan was a very gullible young girl. She really believed Wei Min's words. At that time, Yunjian did not say anything. As soon as Luo Lanlan and Wei Min spoke, she walked past them and went upstairs. Seeing Yunjian going upstairs, Luo Jejun wanted to chase after her, but was stopped by Luo Lanlan. Therefore, Luo Jejun could only watch as Yunjian went upstairs. In his heart, he thought that he must secretly go up and find Yunjian later. Yunjian didn't want to attend the Wei family's small party at all. She planned to go back to her room and sleep. Just as he opened the door to his room and closed the door, a black shadow suddenly pounced on him. After the black shadow pounced on him, he closed the door with a click. In the next second, the shadow wrapped her in his arms. Yunjian also felt a familiar aura, so she let him go. "Xiaojian," Siyi's voice rang as expected. Didn't you go to the gods' continent?" Yunjian was just about to ask. Siyi covered Yunjian's mouth and pressed Yunjian against the door, kissing her for a few minutes. After the kiss, Siyi had taken off her clothes and pants, leaving only her underwear. Then, someone pressed Yunjian against the door and went straight to the point. Outside the corridor, Luo Jejun, who had finally managed to avoid his younger sister Luo Lanlan, and Wei Min was searching Yunjian's room one by one. Luo Jejun had asked Wei Zhe about Yunjian's room just now, so he was confident when he came looking for her. Luo Jejun had just arrived outside the room he and Yunjian were staying in. Delighted, he was going to knock on the door. However, the door shook a few times as if someone was doing something unspeakable on the door. Then, a moan rang in the room. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2332. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. That light breathing sound, which could not be heard clearly if one did not listen carefully, was Luo Jejun's eyelids twitched violently, as if he had been electrocuted, his whole body trembling. Wasn't the sound coming from Wei Lin's room? This sound, coupled with the door that was shaking. Luo Jiejun's brows furrowed tightly at the same time. He walked over with his heart in his mouth. Wei Lin! Wei Lin! Wei Lin! The moment he furrowed his brows, Luo Jiejun rushed towards the shaking door almost at the same time. Wei Lin, are you in there? Are you in there? Huh. Can you answer me? Luo Jiejun's first thought was that there was a guest from the Wei family downstairs dragging Yun Jian into the room and forcing himself on her. In reality, Luo Jiejun's guess was right. Inside, Siyi was staring at Yun Jian, who only bloomed for him with a pair of starry eyes. He had one hand on the door and the other on her slender waist, pressing Yun Jian against the door and doing something shameful. The knocking and shouting outside the door reached Siyi's ears. Hearing this, Siyi's eyes flashed sharply. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and his movements became faster and more violent. Yun Jian covered her mouth, almost moaning loudly. She almost couldn't hold it in, but his face was still calm, as if she was the only one doing this, and he was just watching from the side. Outside the room, Luo Jiejun was about to break down. Luo Jiejun, the eldest son of the Luo family, finally had an interest in a girl, but that girl was now being pressed against the door. Thinking of this, Luo Jiejun felt like he was going crazy. Wei Lin! Wei Lin! Wei Lin! Luo Jiejun knocked on the door for a while. This knocking attracted Luo Lanlan and Wei Min, who were looking for Luo Jiejun, who had just realized that he was missing, and came over. Brother Jiejun, why are you here? When Wei Min saw that Luo Jiejun had just shaken her off and actually went to Yun Jian's boudoir, her anger was ignited in an instant. Do you have the key to your sister Wei Lin's bedroom? Open the door. Luo Jiejun asked loudly almost at the same time when he saw Wei Min. Wei Min had known Luo Jiejun for a long time, but this was the first time she saw Luo Jiejun looking at her with such a nervous expression. One had to know that Luo Jiejun, the most popular guy in Imperial College, was the future successor of Luo's group. Even if the sky fell, Luo Jiejun would never panic. But today Luo Jiejun was actually standing at the door of that little bitch Wei Lin's bedroom and shouting at her. Disgust flashed through Wei Min's heart. She clenched her fists, but considering that she had to show off in front of Luo Jiejun, Wei Min turned around to get the keys. About 5 minutes later, Wei Min came back with a key. This is the key to Lin Er's room. Brother Jiejun, what happened to Lin Er? Wei Min hesitated to give the key to Luo Jiejun. Luo Jiejun did not even look at Wei Min. He walked over and took the key from Wei Min's hand. Brother, what's wrong with you? Sister Min Er is worried about you, so she hurriedly dragged me to look for you. Why are you still treating Sister Min Er like this? Even Luo Jiejun's sister Luo Lanlan pursed her lips and said unhappily. But Luo Jiejun was thinking about Yun Jian at this moment. He could not be bothered with his sister and Wei Min at all. He inserted the key into Yun Jian's bedroom door and twisted it open. Luo Jiejun could not wait to open the door when he suddenly saw translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2333, page 1/1. The moment the door opened, Yun Jian was standing at the entrance. She wore a long shirt that ended at her knees, the loose-fitting garment covering her alluring figure. Her hair was damp and her skin was as smooth and delicate as a newborn baby's. A pinch of her cheeks was enough to squeeze water out of them. The moment the door was opened, a barking sound came from inside. Woof woof. Woof woof woof. Following that, a snow-white little dog came out of Yun Jian's room, wagging its tail. From its expression, it seemed to be very impatient. There was a trace of red on the snow-white puppy's forehead. It was obvious that this dog was the culprit behind all the banging on the door. At least, that was what Luo Jiejun thought. Luo Jiejun's expression froze, and he was startled. His expression did not look good. What's the matter? Yun Jian was holding a towel and was wiping her wet black hair. This was the first time Luo Jiejun and Wei Min saw Yun Jian with her ponytail scattered over her shoulders. Yun Jian with her hair scattered over her shoulders gave people a different kind of beauty, especially after taking a bath. Yun Jian's skin was even smoother and more delicate. Her fair face, coupled with her sharp eyes. At this moment, Luo Jiejun felt as if he was looking at a fairy, who had accidentally fallen into the mortal world. Even Luo Jejun himself did not realize that his gaze was fixated on Yun Jian, as if he was a pervert. Brother Jejun, did you just think that something had happened to Lin Er? Look at Lin Er, isn't she fine? Lin Er must be tired and wants to sleep early. I think we shouldn't disturb her sleep. Let's go. Seeing how Luo Jejun's eyes were glued to Yun Jian like magnets, Wei Min's womanly jealousy exploded. She tugged at Luo Jejun's arm in an attempt to pull him away. In the future, don't randomly open my door. Unless you're tired of living, I can be merciful and send you on your way. Right after Wei Min said that, Yun Jian spoke up with a cold expression. After she finished speaking, she didn't give Wei Min, Luo Jejun, and Luo Lanlan a chance to react. She stretched out her slender and beautiful hand and closed the door. After Yun Jian closed the door, Luo Jejun was still unable to react to Yun Jian's beauty for a long time. He was stunned for a while before he was led away by Wei Min. "TSK, what are you talking about? You're acting like a rich young lady, and you're not letting me open the door? Wasn't she just someone who was found after being separated for 10 years? Hadn't she tasted the bitterness of the past? How could she throw a tantrum so quickly? TSK, how shameless." After Luo Lanlan heard what Yun Jian said, she was subconsciously implanted with negative thoughts about Yun Jian, because Wei Min had pulled her aside to badmouth Yun Jian just now. Therefore, Luo Lanlan's first thought after listening to Yun Jian was to mock Yun Jian. Luo Jejun, Wei Min, and Luo Lanlan finally went downstairs. In the bedroom, just as Yun Jian closed the door, Ce, who was standing in the bathroom beside the bedroom, hugged Yun Jian from behind. Since Yun Jian was wearing a long top, it covered her thighs. She wore nothing underneath her long legs. "Xiao Jian, you're mine." Ce said nothing else. After he hugged Yun Jian, one of his hands slid under Yun Jian's top. Aha! Aha! Translator. Hingi Translations Editor, Hingi Translations. Chapter 2334. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. The night was long. In the Wei family's living room, guests from all walks of life were celebrating. Upstairs in Yun Jian's room, it was a romantic scene. Ce stayed in Yun Jian's room for the night before leaving. He was supposed to return to the God's continent, but before he left the Enhun organization, he came here to look for Yun Jian because he missed her. Ce had a lot of things to do today, so he shouldn't have come to Puyo City to look for Yun Jian. However, he hadn't seen Yun Jian for a few days. His thoughts overshadowed his rationality, so Ce took the time to look for Yun Jian. He also did it with the woman he loved while he was at it. As for Luo Jejun, Ce didn't even ask Yun Jian about it. That was because Ce trusted Yun Jian from the bottom of his heart. Without love, there was no need for a heart-to-heart talk. Both parties could tell with just a glance that the other party was even more intimate. 3 days had passed since the Wei family's small dinner party. 3 days later, Luo Jejun had a new discovery. "Hey, Wei Lin, let me tell you, I've got new information. Didn't something happen at the construction site, and then it was sealed off by the police? But 15 days later, the police invited experts to the construction site to investigate the case. With my ability, it's not impossible to bring people in to take a look. That's because the professional is my dad's friend. How about it? Do you want to take a look?" Luo Jejun had been trying his best to please Yun Jian these days. He couldn't wait to tell Yun Jian all the information he had. That was because Luo Jejun's phone had been breaking down more and more recently. Initially, it would break down once every 2 days, but recently, it had been breaking down twice or thrice a day. It wasn't that Yun Jian didn't fix it well, but that Luo Jejun had gone overboard. Hearing Luo Jejun's words, Yun Jian's eyes moved. She nodded and said, "Your phone broke down again? Wei Lin, you're too amazing. How did you find out that my phone was broken again? Don't tell me you have the ability to predict the future." Hearing Yun Jian's words, Luo Jejun was stunned for a moment before he spoke. "My phone is broken. The more you investigate this matter for me, the more diligent you are." Yun Jian pointed out Luo Jejun's secret in one sentence. Hearing this, Luo Jejun pursed his lips. It seemed that he was indeed like that. Monday rally. Imperial College Big Field. The principal of the Imperial College solemnly announced on the rostrum that the male students of the Imperial College would have a fencing competition 3 days later. The fencing competition was a unique event of the Imperial College. The fencing competition will be held in front of all the teachers and students. And this fencing competition was a competition that had been passed down since the founding of the Imperial College in the last century. The students studying in the Imperial College were not like other schools. Most of the students here were from rich families, so the college would have many activities like fencing competitions, which would be held in front of all the teachers and students. This year's fencing competition will officially begin 3 days later. If there are any male students who would like to sign up for the fencing competition, please go to the registration office to sign up. The rewards for this year's fencing competition are rich. One of the rewards is that if you win the first place, second place, and third place in the fencing competition, I will allow you to go to the forbidden area of our Imperial College. At the same time, there will be many other rewards, so I hope that everyone will sign up enthusiastically, so that our school's unique fencing competition can be passed down and carried forward. Top reading website, M. Chapter 2335. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Chapter 2335. Campus Rebirth. The strongest female Secret Service agent. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 2336. The fencing competition was the symbol of the Imperial College. It was also the legacy of the Imperial College's founder John, who brought it from country Y in the last century. The first person who founded the Imperial College, John, was an aristocrat in country Y. During John's era, the leader of country Y was the queen, a woman. Therefore, the status of women in country Y was not low. When John first came to country Z to build the Imperial College, he advocated equality between men and women. Therefore, girls could participate in the fencing competition with boys and would not be mocked. At that time, the girls were also very brave. Indeed, there were many champions, runners-up and third-place finishers in the annual fencing competition. But today, the girls were afraid of leaving a bad impression in front of the boys, so no one signed up for the fencing competition. Part of the reason was that they were afraid of being mocked. The fencing competition also changed from a heroic battle of the past to something that the boys could show off in front of the girls. Back to the main topic. The most recent time that a girl from the Imperial College won the championship was 50 years ago. For 50 years, no girl from the Imperial College could break the record of winning the championship again. It was not that no girl had ever participated in the competition. Take last year's annual fencing competition as an example. There were a few courageous girls who signed up for it. Not to mention breaking the record that no girl had won the championship again in 50 years. It was quite difficult to even get into the top 100 contestants. And the person who won the championship for 3 consecutive years was Luo Jiejun. Who was Luo Jiejun? He was the eldest son of the Luo group, the future successor. His studies, appearance, and strength were on par. He had participated in the fencing competition for 3 years and had never lost. Therefore, when Yun Jian said this, everyone was dumbfounded. You said you want to win the championship of this year's fencing competition? Do you know what you are saying? Let's not talk about whether you have learned fencing or not. Our Master Jun has won the championship for 3 years. Master Jun is not only proficient in fencing, but also in fighting. Master Jun once stopped a group of 30 people from fighting. He beat the 30 people up so badly that they did not dare to disobey him. What about you? What qualifications do you have to compete with our Master Jun? Moreover, there are so many outstanding talents in our college. You're just a new transfer student. After hearing Yun Jian's words, the girl who was grooming herself in front of the mirror couldn't help but stand up and refute Yun Jian loudly. Exactly. Young Master Jun is handsome, his conduct is good, and his family background is even better. Who do you think you are? Did she think that she could surpass young Master Jun in terms of strength, just because she had gotten close to young Master Chin? Or do you think that you're amazing just because young Master Jun pays a little attention to you? Let me tell you, young Master Jun is just playing with you because you're new to him. Who knows, he might get sick of you in 2 days. As soon as Yun Jian arrived, she immediately attracted the attention of the 2 most handsome men in the academy. The girls had long had opinions about Yun Jian. Now that she had the opportunity, she really thought that she had grasped Yun Jian's weakness and began to fight back with fierce words. What right did she have to attract the attention of the 2 most handsome men in their college? She was the youngest daughter of the Wei family, who had just been found after being separated from the Wei family for 10 years. Yun Jian was talking about the fencing competition, but the girls in the class kept on talking about other things. Yun Jian sneered and couldn't be bothered with them anymore. She put her hands in her trouser pockets and walked out of the classroom, ignoring the group of girls who kept on talking behind her. Enough! All of you shut up. If you keep on talking, I'll sell you to the women's brothel. Luo Jichen shouted when he heard the girls' discussion. Reality proved that the Luo family's little tyrant Luo Jichen still had his dignity. The group of girls trembled in fear when they heard Luo Jichen shout. They immediately swallowed their saliva and didn't dare to make a sound. Luo Jichen glared at the group of girls again, then chased after Yun Jian. At the registration area of the college's fencing department, a good-looking boy was sitting at a desk at the registration area, registering the students who had signed up for the fencing competition. This good-looking boy had his head lowered. He didn't raise his head after registering a few students' names. He only wrote down the name in class. Name class, the boy said after he finished registering. The next student who had signed up for the fencing competition immediately spoke up. Wei Lin, Year 1, Class 1. The boy's face froze when he heard this beautiful female voice. A female voice. A girl had signed up for the fencing competition? The boy suddenly raised his head and looked at the person who had signed up. When he saw that person, a look of surprise and astonishment flashed across his face. Please remember the domain name of this book.com. Wonderful Book Mobile Version Website.com. Chapter 2337. You really want to participate in the fencing competition? The boy looked at Yun Jian, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and repeated the question. Write it. Yun Jian, who was standing in front of the boy, didn't directly answer the boy's question. Instead, she simply said this sentence. Perhaps Yun Jian's gaze was too frightening. The boy trembled after hearing it. Then, the boy didn't dare to ask anymore. He moved his hand and wrote down Yun Jian's name in class. The boy secretly cursed in his heart. This girl looks so thin and weak. Is she serious about participating in the fencing competition? But this sentence, the boy only cursed in his heart and didn't say it out loud. After Yun Jian finished signing up, Luo Jichen, who also finished signing up, walked out of the fencing department's registration area. Halfway through, she bumped into Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Seeing Yun Jian, Luo Jejun's eyes flashed with obvious surprise. But he didn't show it on his face. Luo Jejun stopped Yun Jian and asked, Wei Lin, you came with Jichen to sign up? Subconsciously, Luo Jejun thought that Yun Jian wouldn't come here to sign up for the fencing competition. She was just a girl. No. Brother, I came with her to sign up, and I also signed up for myself. Luo Jichen quickly explained after hearing Luo Jejun's words. Hearing Luo Jechen's words, Yun Jian's brother Wei Zhe was stunned and questioned loudly. You want to sign up for the fencing competition? Why not? Hearing Wei Zhe's question, Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and coldly said, If you want to participate in the fencing competition, it's fine if you win. But if you lose, you'll lose our Wei family's face. So, hurry up and withdraw from the fencing competition. Go and remove the names from the list right now. Wei Zhe couldn't help but order Yun Jian. At this point, Wei Zhe, who thought that he was Yun Jian's brother, wanted to grab Yun Jian's hand and drag Yun Jian to the fencing department's registration area to force Yun Jian to remove the name. Unexpectedly, Wei Zhe wanted to grab Yun Jian's hand and drag her away by force, But before his hand could touch her, Yunjian dodged his hand with a sidestep. In an instant, everyone present heard Yunjian's extremely cold voice, as cold as -°C. So are you ordering me? Wei. Lin, our brother's thinking for you. You can't be so willful. You said you've been separated for 10 years. So when did you learn fencing? You didn't even participate in the family's special training. That's why. How are you going to compete with those who are strong? Let's stop. Wei Min wanted to kill Yunjian, so she almost lost control and spoke to Yunjian viciously in front of everyone. Fortunately, she stopped herself in time. Before Wei Min could finish, however, just as everyone thought that Yunjian should have realized her mistake, a voice rang out. Suddenly, a figure flashed in front of them. Yunjian, who was in front of them, moved to Wei Zai's back in a flash like a flash of lightning. Wei Zai was shocked. He quickly turned around and reached out. However, no matter how fast Wei Zai's reaction was, Yunjian immediately grabbed his arm when he reached out. In the next second, Yunjian grabbed the joints of his arm and hit them twice. Wei Zai was shocked to realize that when Yunjian hit his arm, it was as if his acupoints were hit, and he couldn't exert any strength. What's going on? What kind of skill is this? Before Wei Zai could react, Yunjian had already let go of Wei Zai's hand and kicked Wei Zai's lower waist from behind. Wei Zai staggered forward a few steps before he stabilized himself. This scene caused an uproar in the audience. However, just as the people present witnessed Yunjian's attack for the first time, and were shocked by Yunjian's speed, accuracy, and ruthlessness, they heard Yunjian's words again. There was a hint of arrogance in her words that no one could go against. Before the end of the competition, both of your hands can no longer hold anything. I'll accept your hands. I won't kill you, but remember, you're not the only person in this world who dares to order me around. However, the only person who ordered me around and didn't get killed by me is you, my good brother. Please remember the domain name of this book, mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2338. Yunjian's words were loud and clear, and they echoed throughout the hall. Everyone was shocked when they heard Yunjian's words. She accepted his hand. What did that mean? Just as everyone was stunned by Yunjian's arrogant tone, but did not know what she meant, Yunjian's voice rang out. What did you do to my hand? Why can't I use my hand? A nervous voice suddenly sounded. Everyone's expression froze when they heard this. They turned to look at the source of the voice, and it was Wei Zai. Wei Zai's hand was like a pile of mud after being hit by Yunjian at the joints. It was difficult for him to even raise his hand, not to mention whether he could hold the foil in the fencing competition 3 days later. Boom! Everyone's faces turned pale when they heard Wei Zai's words. What Zai are you talking about? She can make your hand lose its strength? Hong Ling grabbed Wei Zai's hand and asked in shock. Wei Zai tried many times, but the parts of his arm that Yunjian had grabbed and tapped on were immobilized. His expression darkened before he uttered in fear. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I really can't move. Wei Zai looked at Yunjian with fear for the first time. He felt that his sister, who had returned to the Wei family after being separated for 10 years, was so mysterious and scary. Wei Lin, what did you do to Big Brother? Big Brother is representing the Wei family in the fencing competition 3 days later. What did you go through outside? Why are you so vicious? Wei Min did not hesitate to shout at Yunjian when she saw that. Wei Min wasn't stupid. She spoke to Yunjian in such a way in front of Luo Jiejun, because it would be abnormal if she wasn't angry at Yunjian. Vicious? Yunjian sneered when she heard Wei Min's words. You even want to poison your own brother? You've already lost your mind. Wei Lin, I sincerely welcome you back to the Wei family. As your elder sister, I have been worried about your safety day and night for the past 10 years that you were separated from me. I was so worried that I woke up in the middle of the night. I dreamed that you were crying and shouting that you were scared and wanted to go home. When I woke up at night, I couldn't stop crying because I was worried about you. But you even wanted to harm our own brother. How did you become like this? As Wei Min spoke, tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. Those who didn't know would really think that Wei Min was sad and worried about Yun Jian. She played the role of a good sister perfectly. In fact, Wei Min was indeed so frightened that she woke up in the middle of the night. Due to Wei Lin's disappearance, she was so frightened that she couldn't stop crying. That was because Wei Min had dreamt that she had purposely fabricated the story of her younger sister, Wei Lin, who had accidentally gone missing. She had dreamt that Wei Lin had died and had turned into a malicious spirit to seek revenge. Therefore, Wei Min had been scared awake and cried. This was completely true. Then, what kind of person did you think I was in the beginning? Just as Wei Min was crying in front of everyone with the face of a good sister, Yun Jian's voice suddenly rang out. Kind-hearted? Bullied by you? From what you're saying, it seems that you're all right. After Yun Jian finished speaking, her red arc rose. In the next second, the rising red arc fell. Luo Jiejun and the others were taken aback by the nonchalant look on her face. What she said next rang out abruptly and echoed throughout the hall. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of person. Vicious. I'll be very responsible to tell you that a group of people once said that I was the most terrifying devil in the world. I think the word vicious is an underestimation of me. So if you want to see how vicious I can be, you can give it a try. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2339. Normally, when a girl heard others say that she was vicious, she would either try to defend herself or try her best to salvage the vicious image she left in front of others. However, Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and everyone else present had never seen someone like Yun Jian. When people said that she had a vicious heart, they were comparing her to a vicious villain. However, not only did she admit that she had a vicious heart, she even said such words to everyone present. The scariest demon in the world then. He thought about what Yun Jian said to Ling Qianqian when she faced her. Luo Jiejun's eyes turned sharp. What kind of past did she have? Why was it that the more he wanted to get closer to her, and the more he wanted to understand her, the more secrets he discovered about her? Where had she been for the past 10 years? What kind of life had she lived? In spite of that, Luo Jiejun's interest in Yun Jian grew as more and more secrets piled up on her. He wanted to pry open her inner world and see what she had gone through in the past. If Luo Jiejun had looked at Yun Jian differently before, then at this moment, Luo Jiejun's curiosity about Yun Jian had been completely aroused. Yun Jian's words had a magical power that made people unable to remain calm. For some reason, after Wei Min heard Yun Jian's words, she couldn't help but shiver. Then she stared at Yun Jian for 2 seconds. She was about to speak. And Miss Xiao, bad news. Something has happened. Something big has happened. Hurry and come back with me. Just as Wei Min was about to speak, a hurried voice sounded. Looking closely, the person who came was actually the Wei family's head butler, someone sent by the Wei family's old master, Wei Xiao. Suddenly seeing the Wei family's head butler rushing to the school to find her, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. In the next second, she didn't want to be entangled with Wei Min and the others. She quickly caught up with the Wei family's head butler and walked back to the Wei family. Before the Wei family's head butler left, he stopped Wei Min, Wei Zhe and the others. Please don't go together. Something big has happened. If the young masters and young ladies go together, they might lose their lives. What about her? She's already gone. As a man, I can't back out. Luo Jiejun said as he pushed the Wei family's head steward aside and followed after him. Wei Min liked Luo Jiejun, so she naturally couldn't watch Luo Jiejun go alone. And Wei Zhe wanted to protect his sister, so he naturally followed along. As for Luo Jichen and Hong Ling, because they were brothers, they also followed. On the way, the Wei family's head butler explained the situation clearly. A group of people rushed into the house and captured Old Master. They even let me out and asked me to bring young Miss back within an hour. Otherwise they will. The head steward of the Wei clan stopped speaking at this point. However, everyone present could feel that returning to the Wei clan would definitely be a battle of life and death. Yun Jian got out of the car and said to them coldly, "You don't have to come here to die. They're targeting me." With that, Yunjian walked towards the entrance of the Wei residence. I'll go with you. I'm strong enough to protect you, Luo Jejun said. But just as Luo Jejun said this, he saw that Yunjian had already arrived at the entrance of the Wei residence. Before stepping into the Wei residence, Luo Jejun and the others suddenly saw Yunjian take off her cotton-padded clothes. She was wearing a black tights and black tights underneath. There were countless knives and pistols strapped to her thighs and waist. There was also an eagle claw strapped to the back of her waist. She looked even more like a special agent in the movies. Luo Jejun was stunned when he saw this. Wei Min, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, and Luo Jichen were stunned as well. The head butler of the Wei clan was also stunned. However, just as everyone was stunned, they heard a sniper rifle sweep toward Yunjian. At that moment, Yunjian tilted her head. In the next second, she pulled out 2 butterfly knives from her thighs and held them in her hands. With the blades pointed downwards, she rushed into the Wei residence's entrance. But in the next second, Yunjian's actions frightened the few people who couldn't react in time. Their faces turned ashen. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2340. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Guessing Yunjian's True Identity. Page 1/1. In front of everyone present, Yunjian held the butterfly knives tightly with both hands. The blades of the knives were pointed downwards as she dodged the sniper's bullets. It was as if she knew exactly what path the sniper would take to shoot her. Left, right, front, back. Every dodge was a dangerous move. She managed to avoid the sniper's bullets from afar. There were a few times when she missed by just a few millimeters and would have died. As for the snipers who were shooting at Yunjian, it was obvious that they were going to kill her. The bullets from the sniper were like a scene in a rain of bullets. Dozens of people were sniping at Yunjian from high up in the air, and Yunjian was always able to escape at the crucial moment of life and death. Her skills, her capability, and her various performances were as if she was born in a world of bullets and bullets. Just as she had said earlier, she had said that Ling Qianqian's life was something she had never dared to imagine before. In her world, as long as she dared to close her eyes and sleep, someone would send her to her death. If she wanted to live, her hands had to be stained with blood. In order to live, she would not hesitate to kill everyone around her, including her friends. In the past, Luo Jejun and the others did not believe Yunjian's words. Who did she think she was? A world-class figure? Someone wanted to kill her just because she was asleep. But just now, Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and the others suddenly realized something. When they saw Yunjian moving so nimbly in the rain of bullets, they were stunned. Their first reaction after being stunned was panic. They had heard from the Wei family's butler that the group of people had kidnapped Wei Xiao to capture the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin. Just as everyone was thinking about this, Yunjian entered the Wei family's house under the sniper's bullets and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and the others were scared pale. Part of the reason was because of Yunjian's ability to dodge bullets. Another part was because Yunjian's actions were exactly the same as the world she had described not long ago. She was someone from the rain of bullets. Then who was her true identity? Luo Jejun furrowed his brows. His face was full of shock. He looked in the direction Yunjian went and fell into deep thought. F***CK. 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 Wei Lin, not only is she good at fixing phones, she's also amazing. Luo Jejun, Luo Mu. Luo translation for translation. Yunjian's words, Luo Jiu translation. Yunjian translation. Yunjian Luo. Translation. Is Yunjian. Wei Min was also stunned. Then, she swallowed a mouthful of saliva and turned her head to Luo Jejun. She asked Luo Jejun in a trembling voice, Brother Jejun, no matter how powerful she is, she's still no match for you, right? When she asked this, Wei Min spoke to Luo Jejun in an uncertain tone, but she desperately hoped that she was speaking in the right tone. However, as soon as she said this, Wei Min heard Luo Jejun speak. Based on what happened just now, I'm still not sure who's more powerful between me and her. But one thing I'm sure of is that if it were me, There's no way I'd be able to rush into the Wei family's house alive under so many sniper rifles. As soon as he said this, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, Luo Jejun, and Wei Min were all stunned. Then they all shut their mouths. The Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years, and was finally found. Where had she been for the past 10 years? What kind of life had she been living? Why would her enemies come looking for her? What kind of identity and status did she have in the world she spoke of? Who exactly was she? Just as everyone was deep in thought, Hong Ling suddenly recalled something. He turned his head abruptly and looked at everyone. He immediately said in a shocked tone, "Could it be, as she said, that she really came from an assassin organization?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2341. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. She's from an assassin organization? How is this possible? Wei Min refuted loudly and exaggeratedly before anyone could react to Hong Ling's words. How is that not possible? Min'er, I remember that your sister was only 8 years old when she was lost, right? Moreover, she was kidnapped into a van and taken away right in front of you. Their assassin organization likes to kidnap girls like this to train their assassins or agents. Your sister was only 8 years old then. It's normal for her to be sent to an assassin organization and undergo inhumane training. Hong Ling obviously had some understanding of the International Assassin Organization. That was why he was able to make such a clear statement in front of everyone. If Wei Lin was really from an assassin organization, it would not be unreasonable for her to be so powerful. However, everyone knew that the special agents or killers who could come out of the assassin organization were all very powerful people. Wei Min could not convince herself that Yun Jian was a powerful person. Why? She had been separated from Wei Lin for so many years. She received so much attention the moment she came back. She was even kidnapped to an assassin organization, and was even more powerful than her when she came back. This shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Then what was the point of her tricking the 8-year-old Wei Lin and throwing her away? The people in the van did not pay attention to Hong Ling's words. Even Hong Ling himself was just spouting nonsense. However, no one expected Wei Min to react so strongly. For a moment, everyone in the van had their own thoughts. Around the Wei family mansion, there were many men with guns standing around the Wei family mansion. They were walking back and forth around the mansion. It was obvious that this group of people had Wei Xiao and the rest of the Wei family under control. At the back door of the Wei family mansion, 2 men with guns were walking back and forth. There were many people who looked the same as these 2 men standing around the Wei family mansion. Even if there was any news, it would not escape their eyes. Tsk tisk. Just then 2 soft sounds were heard. As soon as the sound rang out, a gust of wind blew past and covered the subtle sound of a knife piercing into a person's flesh. 2 butterfly knives stabbed into the hearts of the 2 men who were walking around the back door of the Wei residence with guns in their hands. A figure rolled out from the bushes. Yun Jian pulled out the butterfly knife from the 2 men's hearts. The 2 men didn't even have time to make a sound before they breathed their last. After putting away the butterfly knife, Yun Jian grabbed the back of the 2 men's collars and threw them into the tall grass. Then, she flashed into the Wei family's villa. Outside the Wei family's villa, there were so many people waiting to capture Yun Jian that not even a fly could sneak into the Wei family's villa. However, no one knew that someone had already snuck into the back door of the Wei clan's villa, the Wei clan's main hall. The old master of the Wei clan, Wei Xiao, and his wife, Wang Ruoya, were tied up in the middle of the Wei clan's main hall. Standing in front of him was an old man in his 60s. This old man, who was about 60 years old, was standing in place with a face full of hatred. He saw the Wei family's door open and a subordinate walk in. When he saw his subordinate, the old man frowned and asked, "Is she dead?" No. 30 snipers locked onto her at the same time, but she dodged all the bullets from the sniper rifles. She escaped. The subordinate's heart trembled as he spoke in fear. Trash! The old man walked over and kicked the underling in the abdomen, sending the underling flying 10 meters away. Wei Xiao and his wife, Wang Ruoya, couldn't help but tremble in fear when they heard the subordinate's words. 30 snipers had attacked a single person, yet that person had still managed to escape alive. Who was this person to have such heaven-defying strength? Just as everyone in the hall was panicking, an indifferent female voice suddenly rang out. Her flat and indifferent words startled the fear in everyone's hearts. The boss of T-Nation's underground black market, Limu. You're really in the mood. I haven't settled the score with you for the failed assassination last time. And you've come knocking on my door today? Translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2342. Page 1/1. That's right, Limu was the boss of Country T's underground black market. He was also the mastermind behind the assassination attempt on Yun Jian a few days ago. A few days ago, the group of people suddenly fired machine guns at Yun Jian, but Yun Jian snatched the machine guns away. Just as she was about to reveal the mastermind behind the assassination attempt, she said the word, and was shot from a high altitude. At the same time, as the boss of Country T's underground black market, Limu was also the biological father of Xian Yu, whom Yun Jian killed in Marilena's tomb. Outsiders only knew that Xian Yu worked for Country T's underground black market boss Limu, but they didn't know that Limu was Xian Yu's biological father. Today, Limu found Yun Jian and sent people to assassinate Yun Jian. It wasn't hard to explain that he wanted to take revenge on Yun Jian for his son Xian Yu. Woo woo woo. Woo woo. When Wang Ruoya saw Yun Jian, she almost fainted. Because her mouth was covered, Wang Ruoya could only blow air into her mouth. Yun Jian's current identity was Wang Ruoya's youngest daughter, Wei Lin. When Wang Ruoya saw Yun Jian, she thought that she had come back to die, so she tried her best to make Yun Jian leave as soon as possible. Wei Xiao knew that Yun Jian wasn't her biological daughter, so she didn't have much of a reaction. When Limu saw Yun Jian, his entire body trembled. Then, Limu's subordinates who were armed with machine guns surrounded Yun Jian as well. Lima did not expect Yun Jian to avoid being surrounded by the people he had brought with him outside the Wei family's villa, and arrive at the living room so quickly. His expression changed abruptly. As expected, you're just like your son Xian Yu. You have a strong presence, but in reality, you're a useless piece of trash. In front of Limu's subordinates who were holding machine guns, Yun Jian crossed her arms lazily and pursed her lips. She didn't look afraid at all. You, how do you know Xian Yu is my son? Limu was stunned and wanted to say something. In the eyes of outsiders, Xian Yu and Lima's relationship was just Xian Yu following Lima's gang. That was all. The number of people who knew that Xian Yu was his biological son could be counted on one hand. The strength of the young girl in front of him had greatly exceeded his expectations. Just as Limu was about to speak, Yun Jian didn't give him the chance. Facing the dozen or so machine guns in front of her, she took 2 steps forward without a hint of fear, then spoke to Limu in front of everyone. Old thing, didn't you investigate me before you sent someone to assassinate me? When Limu heard Yun Jian's words, his heart skipped a beat. He really didn't investigate Yun Jian's specific identity. But after he found out that Yun Jian killed his son, he immediately sent people to assassinate Yun Jian. What do you mean by that? Limu's heart trembled when he heard Yun Jian's words. Wei Xiao knew that Yun Jian wasn't his biological daughter, especially when he found out that Limu was the boss of Country T's underground black market. Wei Xiao was even more suspicious of Yun Jian's true identity. She actually offended the boss of Country T's underground black market. However, after listening to their conversation, Wei Xiao's heart trembled violently. So you really didn't investigate me, Yun Jian sneered. Her words sent a chill down Lima's spine. He instinctively called the informant who found out that Yun Jian was the one who killed Xian Yu. When Limu asked the informant about Yun Jian's specific information and heard his reply, the phone in Lima's hand fell to the ground. He looked at Yun Jian, his face pale with fright. You. Translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2343. Lima did investigate Yun Jian, But he didn't investigate Yun Jian's identity. He only found out that Yun Jian was the person who killed his son Xianyu. She was just a little girl in her teens. What could she possibly do? Lima didn't even investigate Yun Jian's actual identity. He only investigated Yun Jian's basic identity before he brought his men to assassinate Yun Jian. Limu almost went crazy because he wanted to avenge his son Xianyu, but he forgot to use his authority to investigate Yun Jian's identity on the biggest intelligence platform. There was an international intelligence platform that specialized in collecting information. It was connected to the Kosha mercenaries' intelligence team. This intelligence platform was formed by many internationally renowned intelligence groups, such as Gusha Mercenaries Intelligence Group. It was an integrated platform, and on this intelligence platform, any information, even international news, as long as one paid, could be inquired about. It could be said that this was the gathering point of the intelligence platform. The informant who answered Lima's call just now was the staff of the intelligence platform, who had found out that Yun Jian was the one who killed Xianyu after his death. When Lima looked at Yun Jian, his face was pale with fright. Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya were confused. Lima's subordinates were stunned and didn't know what to do. Dad. Mom. A panicked female voice came from the bathroom in the living room. Everyone turned to look and saw Wei Min standing near the bathroom, not far from the living room. She was looking at Limu and his men with fear in her eyes. The Wei family was like the Luo family and Hong family, one of the three big families in Puluo City. They all relied on the underworld to make their fortune. In the beginning, they were worried that they would be hunted down by their enemies if they switched to the legal side. So, when the Wei family villa was being built, they built an underground secret tunnel. Wei Min and her men used the underground secret tunnel to avoid the group of people outside the Wei family villa and return to the Wei family villa. Woo! Woo woo woo! Wei Xiao didn't react when he saw Yun Jian, but when he saw his daughter Wei Min and son Wei Zhe bringing a group of friends back to the Wei family, he started to shake his head desperately to signal them to run. But Wei Min didn't understand her father's meaning at all. She looked at Limu with fear and said to Limu, "Let go of my dad. Wei Ling caused this trouble, don't implicate my parents." As she spoke, Wei Min turned to Yun Jian and spat with a hateful glare. "Yun Jian, you're the one who's going to die. Wei Lin, you're too much. I really wanted you to come back to the Wei family, but you actually wanted to harm father and mother, because of you." Before Wei Min could finish her words, Limu was the international intelligence platform was one of the top 10 public in the world. Is one of the top 10 people in the world. Most people knew about the international intelligence platform. Even Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min knew about it. Everyone knew that the international intelligence platform was a place where you could get all the information you wanted, as long as you were willing to pay the corresponding price. However, there was an exception in the international intelligence platform. That was, there were 10 public biographies and ambiguous portraits posted in the center of the international intelligence platform. The 10 resumes and portraits represented 10 people. These 10 people were the public figures of the international intelligence platform. No matter how much money the employer offered, the people of the international intelligence platform wouldn't dare to investigate their identities. It could be said that even the people of the international intelligence platform didn't dare to provoke those 10 people. They were afraid and terrified of them. That was a symbol of power, status, and identity. Lima's words spread throughout the venue, causing everyone to be stunned. However, before everyone could react to Lima's words, Limu had already stared at Yun Jian in front of everyone. Once again, he used a voice that was trembling with fear to ask Yun Jian. "Just now, the people of the international intelligence platform said that you're one of them. You're really one of the top 10 people in the world that they can't afford to provoke out of the 10 public portraits of the international intelligence platform. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website." Chapter 2344. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Page 1/1 Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The international intelligence platform was located in the busiest part of Country M, and at the entrance of the first floor of the International Intelligence Platform's central building, there were 10 portraits of people that everyone knew. Some of the portraits only had a black shadow and a rough outline, and it was hard to tell if the person was male or female. However, all 10 portraits had their own unique characteristics. For example, they held a weapon that they were used to using, or they had a symbolic tattoo on their body, or they had a broken finger, or they had a scar on their face. However, there was no doubt that the people in the portraits were all people whose names were enough to make the International Intelligence Platform tremble. At the bottom of the 10 portraits, there were also simple biographies of the people in the portraits, which were known to all. Moreover, these 10 portraits were marked with the words "one of the top 10 most untouchable people in the world." Furthermore, the International Intelligence Platform's people publicly stated that no intelligence team would dare to investigate the people in the portraits. No matter how much money they offered, they would refuse to investigate the people in the portraits. This matter was not considered a secret. It was made public on the International Intelligence Platform, and anyone who knew a little about it knew about it. Therefore, when Lai Mu repeated the same words to Yun Jian, whether it was Luo Jejun, Luo Jechen, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, Hong Ling, or even Wei Xiao and his wife Wang Ruoya, who were tied up and gagged by Lai Mu's people, all of them were stunned. When everyone heard Lai Mu repeat the same words, they were stunned on the spot, their mouths forming an O shape, their eyes unblinking, and their expressions changing drastically. Not to mention Luo Jejun and the others, even Lai Mu's group of brothers were stunned. They held their machine guns in their hands, and did not move an inch. Everyone's expression could not escape the word fear. When Luo Jejun heard this, he was the first to recover from his shock, and he was the first to speak to Lai Mu in shock. The International Intelligence Platform's people said that she was one of the people in the portraits? The International Intelligence Platform you're talking about, is it the famous International Intelligence Platform formed by all the major international intelligence teams? Luo Jejun rarely asked questions with such a stunned expression. Luo Jejun, the young master of the Luo family and the future heir of the Luo group, who had always been mature and steady, had the demeanor of doing great things, uttered such words with such an expression. This was the first time Wei Min had seen something like this since she was young. Therefore, even Wei Min, who did not know about the 10 portraits on the International Intelligence Platform, had an incredible feeling for a moment. That's right, it's that platform. Lai Mu panicked. Just now, when he asked the staff of the International Intelligence Platform Center to investigate Yun Jian's identity, the staff of the International Intelligence Platform Center directly refused him. They also said that Yun Jian was one of the 10 portraits. So the International Intelligence Platform Center, which claimed to be the world's top intelligence platform, had no way of tracking down Yun Jian's specific identity. Li Mu was, after all, someone who had been through a lot. He knew very well that in this world, if he met a strong opponent, he could not fight them head-on. I'm sorry for offending you just now. I hope you can forgive me. About my son Xian Yu, I'll use the previous 2 unintentional assassinations as compensation. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. Let's go. Li Mu immediately saluted Yun Jian, then gestured for his men to walk towards the door. Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and the rest instantly heaved a sigh of relief. Regardless of whether Yun Jian was one of the 10 portraits on the International Intelligence Platform or not, it was a good thing that Li Mu decided to stop, so this matter would not implicate the Wei family. However, just as Luo Jejun and the rest thought that Yun Jian was purposely minimizing this matter, they saw Yun Jian standing at the same spot in front of everyone. She said arrogantly to Li Mu, who had yet to rush out of the Wei family's door, "I'll give you 1 hour. If you can escape from Z country's borders, I'll let you go. If you can't, then go to hell." Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2345. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless fantasy translation. How arrogant. How arrogant. She was more than arrogant. Everyone heard Yunjian's words, especially Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Even if she really was one of the 10 portraits of the international intelligence platform that Lai Mu had mentioned, and was listed as one of the top 10 most untouchable people in the world, she was only one person. What about Lai Mu and his men? They were armed with lethal weapons, and a large group of people. Yunjian was outnumbered. Lai Mu had just spared the Wei family, and turned to leave when Yunjian called out to him again, and said such words. She's crazy. The boss of Country Tea's black market had already retreated, but she still called out to him and said such provocative words. I really treat Lin as my sister. But not only are we still here, even our parents are still trapped. She wants to send us into the fire pit. Wei Min hid behind Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe and Hong Ling. To an outsider, Wei Min's words sounded right. She was praising Yunjian in front of Luo Jejun and the rest. Wei Min did not dare to say these words loudly. She only dared to say them in front of Luo Jejun, and the rest to sow discord. As for Lai Mu, after hearing Yunjian's words, he stopped in his tracks. Pausing, Li Mu was taken aback. He did not reply to Yunjian after that as he led his men outside. Not long after, the battlefield that seemed to be filled with smoke quickly returned to normal. Dad. Mom. Wei Min was the first to rush up and untie Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya's bindings and gagged mouths. Yunjian did not even look at Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya as she walked up the stairs. Wei Lin, you're too much. Mom and Dad are tied up here because of you. After that person left with his men, you didn't even care about them and just walked up the stairs. You're too inhumane. Wei Zhe called out Yunjian's name. His face was dark as he spoke. As Yunjian's elder brother in name, Wei Zhe looked at Yunjian and asked in dissatisfaction after he said that. What do you think? What's going on with you? What's with the 10 portraits of the international intelligence platform? What's going on? Now that Mom and Dad are here, you'd better explain yourself. What did you do before you returned to the Wei family? What was your identity? Tell me clearly before you leave. What Wei Zhe said was what Luo Jejun, Hong, and Luo Jechin wanted to know as well. Hence, everyone looked at Yunjian with scrutiny after Wei Zhe spoke. Yun was. She was halfway up the stairs when she heard Wei Zhe. She was already halfway. She was. She was. Then, she turned around in front of everyone and stared at them coldly. Suddenly, she uttered something that sent chills down their spines. From today onwards, don't let me hear any of you asking about my past. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. It did not sound like a joke. After hearing this, the few people present trembled violently. No one said a word as they watched Yunjian disappear down the stairs. An hour later, in Yunjian's bedroom, pressing the button to answer the call, Qingyu's voice came from the other end. Sister Jian, Li Mu and the others have escaped from Country Z within an hour. Yunjian pressed her lips together when she heard what Qingyu said as her eyes flickered. They had really escaped from Country Z within an hour? In the next second, Yunjian ordered Qingyu softly with a smirk. Kill them with all you've got. Don't leave a single one alive. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 2346. Shi Yunjian had never been a good person who kept her word. The words "keep your promises" had always been targeted at the target. For a weed who had tried to assassinate her twice, Yunjian's usual practice was to not leave a single strand of it alive. Yes, Qingyu, who was familiar with Yunjian, nodded when she heard Yunjian's words, and agreed with Yunjian decisively. Yunjian hung up the call and tossed her phone to the bedside table before closing her eyes to sleep. Yunjian woke up early the next day. She got out of bed early and went for a morning run to the academy as usual. There were already many classmates in the classroom when she first entered the academy. Yunjian walked to her seat with practiced ease. Morning. Luo Jiechen stood up to greet Yunjian when he saw her today. He greeted Yunjian almost immediately. Yunjian nodded and returned to her seat. Nothing worth mentioning happened until the night before the fencing competition. School ended very late that night, mainly because Yunjian's class teacher had delayed the class, so it was almost 9 o'clock when school ended. Yunjian walked out at 9 o'clock at night. Luo Jichen followed behind Yunjian like a shadow. At the same time, he chuckled at Yunjian. Wei Lin, I didn't expect you to be so amazing. I don't mean anything else. I'm not trying to find out about your process. I'm just telling you about it. Also, I'll be your underling from now on. The kind that follows behind your butt, hee. Luo Jichen was still following Yunjian to the academy's entrance. They were only halfway there. The sound of a police siren suddenly rang out. Yunjian raised her eyebrows. A police car sped into the academy. I heard that someone died in the toilet. They're all dead now. It seems like a suicide or a homicide. The police car is here now. What? Someone died in our academy. This can't be real, right? How could it be fake? During the last night's self-study class, a girl in our class needed to pee and went to the toilet. Guess what happened? She walked into the toilet and opened a toilet door. Just as she was about to use the toilet, she found a corpse. The people who came back were scared silly. After the school confirmed it, they immediately called the police. Oh my God! Is that a student from our school committing suicide? Who knows? Probably. Two girls walked past them and were talking in a very soft voice. Although their voices were soft, Yunjian and Luo Jichen were both martial artists. They immediately heard what the two girls were saying. F***CK. I was wondering why it was so noisy during the last night's self-study session. It was as if something big had happened. He's dead. Luo Jichen was shocked when he heard what the two girls said. Yunjian's eyes moved, but her face was calm as if it had nothing to do with her. Let's go. Yunjian walked out of the academy. When something like this happened, the most innocent party was the school, and the most pitiful ones were the students' parents. However, she still had to go home. The next morning, Yunjian went to school as usual. However, because of the murder, the school had to postpone the fencing competition. Since last night, the police and related personnel had been working through the night. They had not been able to close their eyes until now. Their spirit was indeed commendable. In the middle of the class, two police officers suddenly appeared outside the classroom. Everyone in the classroom was shocked when they saw the police officers. At the same time, a younger police officer walked into the classroom. He scanned the classroom and immediately asked, "Hello everyone. Hello students. Is there a student called Wei Lin in your class? Can you ask her to come out for a moment? Please remember the domain name of this book. .com. Wonderful book mobile version website. .com. Chapter 2347. Hearing the young policeman's words, someone in the class immediately pointed at Yunjian. It's her. Uncle policeman, she's Wei Lin. Huh? What's going on? No, you're the police comrades who were in charge of the murder case that happened at the academy last night, right? No, Wei Lin didn't do anything. Why are you looking for her? Luo Jichen quickly defended himself. No, we're just asking her a few questions, the young policeman quickly said after hearing Luo Jichen's words. Hearing that it was nothing serious, Luo Jichen heaved a sigh of relief. Yunjian's eyes moved and she walked out. It was not until Yunjian left the classroom that the students in the class started making wild guesses. There was a murder case at the academy yesterday, and Wei Lin from our class was taken away by the police today. Do you think this has something to do with Wei Lin? I think it has something to do with her. When Wei Lin wasn't here, nothing like this happened in the academy. Once she came, not only did she attract young Master Jun's attention, even young Master Chen from our class has been circling around her. She's like a vixen. That's true. Maybe the death of the classmate who got into trouble is related to Wei Lin. The group of people talked among themselves. At this moment, Yunjian had already been taken away from the classroom. Yunjian was directly brought to the crime scene. Yunjian was brought here because someone pointed out that Yunjian had a dispute with the deceased 2 days ago. The deceased was none other than Sister Biao, who had touched Ling Qianqian previously and admired Yunjian. This news made Yunjian's eyelids move, but she never showed her emotions on her face. After hearing this news, Yunjian's eyes only moved. Previously, Sister Biao admired Yunjian, so she did not touch Yunjian. In the end, during the last self-study period last night, her body was found in the toilet. When Sister Biao was found, her head was submerged in the toilet, and she died of suffocation. The police only asked Yunjian a few questions before letting her go. When Yunjian came out, she bumped into Luo Jejun and the others. That day, Yunjian and Sister Biao had a conflict because of Ling Qianqian. Luo Jejun, Hongling Weizhe, and Wei Min were also present, and they were all pointed out. Therefore the police also questioned them. When she met Luo Jejun and the others at the outskirts of the interrogation area, Yunjian did not even bother to entertain them. Her eyes flickered as she suddenly turned to the police officer, who had questioned her just now, and said, "I'm sorry. Can I have a look at the corpse?" Hearing Yunjian's words, the policeman was stunned. Then he said in a daze, "The victim died a horrible death. Young lady, are you sure you want to see it? It's better if you don't get involved in this mess. You're still young, and that scene will scare you until you can't sleep." Needless to say, even he felt that it was a little creepy when he saw it. Yunjian didn't reply to the policeman. Instead, she suddenly asked in front of Luo Jejun and the others, "Have the police contacted a forensic doctor?" A forensic doctor was a type of forensic expert in the country. According to the laws and regulations and industry standards, they used various techniques or methods to conduct a medical investigation on the scene, autopsy, symptom analysis, identification of relics, and a series of methods to investigate the real culprit. To put it simply, a forensic doctor was a person who relied on autopsy to investigate the cause of death of the deceased, or to investigate the details of the environment to find the real culprit and give justice to the deceased. Not yet, but we've already sent someone to contact them. After hearing Yunjian's words, the policeman was stunned and immediately replied, "Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website." Chapter 2348. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Forensic doctors dealt with corpses and even used scalpels to dissect corpses when necessary to determine if the deceased was a homicide or a suicide. Forensic doctors were different from traditional doctors in that they could not treat illnesses or save lives. But in a sense, forensic doctors and doctors had something in common. For example, the courses of forensic science and medical science would overlap in the first few years, but in the later internship, the courses of forensic science students and medical science students would be separated. Forensic doctors dealt with corpses all year round, so when normal people heard the word forensic doctor, they would be shocked and would not want to come into contact with this person. This also caused the number of people who studied forensic medicine to be very small. In the entire Puyo city, which was a metropolis with a population of millions, there were less than 50 forensic doctors. Those who were good at it were even fewer. Yunjian, on the other hand, was just the youngest daughter of the Wei family who had just been found. There were rumors that she was one of the 10 portraits on the International Intelligence Platform and was listed as one of the most untouchable people in the world. But so what? So far, other than Lima's words, there was no evidence. And what was the highest medical institution in the world of international medicine? It was the place where forensic doctors gathered in the entire world. There were very few people in the medical profession, and it was an arduous and thankless job. However, those who were at the top of the world of forensic medicine were highly respected. Once you achieved something in your profession and stood at the top of the world, those who did not think highly of you would change their opinion of you. In the world of forensic medicine, those who could enter the highest medical institution in the world of forensic medicine were undoubtedly people who stood at the top of the world of forensic medicine. Therefore, when Yunjian finished speaking, everyone was shocked. One must know that a forensic doctor who wanted to enter the highest medical institution in the world had to go through many trials and tests. A normal forensic doctor would need to be at least 30 years old to have the ability to enter the highest medical institution in the world. According to the latest news from the highest medical institution in the world, the youngest person to be specially invited to the highest medical institution in the world was a 28-year-old male forensic doctor. This male forensic doctor was the youngest person in the history of the highest medical institution in the world to be invited to the highest medical institution in the world. And Yunjian, she was only 18 years old. You. Wei. Lin, what are you talking about? Our Wei family has never had a forensic doctor. Really? Where did you get this fake ID from? What happened at school yesterday has nothing to do with the Wei family. Don't take it all on our Wei clan. When Wei Min heard what Yunjian said, she almost blurted out her full name at Yunjian, but she held it in. Not only did she have to take into account her reputation as a good sister, but she also had to say these words with a fake smile. Wei Min was really quite tired. When the policeman heard Wei Min's words, he was misled by Wei Min and thought that Yunjian had a fake ID. Yo, there's even a replica of the International Supreme Forensic Academy's seal here. Lin. Son. I really didn't know that you were so capable. As Wei Min spoke, she found a seal at the bottom right corner of Yunjian's document. When they heard Wei Min say that Yunjian's ID was fake, Luo Jiejun, Hongling, and Wei Zhe naturally had no reason not to believe it. After all, with Yunjian's age, and her being a special guest of the highest medical institution, no one would believe it even if they said it out loud. However, when Wei Min finished speaking and Luo Jiejun and the others thought that Yunjian was lying, the policeman suddenly rushed in front of Yunjian and carefully examined the seal at the bottom right corner of Yunjian's ID. Just when Wei Min, Luo Jiejun, and the others thought that the policeman would accuse Yunjian of faking the ID, they saw the policeman speaking to Yunjian in a very respectful tone. This seal is really personally printed by the president of the highest medical institution in the world. With the assistance of the medical examiner from the highest medical institution in the world, there's no way for anything to go wrong. Mr. Medical Examiner, thank you for your hard work. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2349. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. When the police were investigating cases, there would often be cases of unnatural deaths that were suspected to be homicides. At this time, forensic science played a huge role. There were even cases where the deceased would be disguised as suicide. If there was no forensic science at this time, then the deceased would have died unjustly, and the murderer would be free. Forensic science was the source of these cases. That was why forensic science was a very respectable profession. The police officer recognized the seal, as he had seen it on the news before. The seal of the International Supreme Court was not something that could be easily imitated by outsiders. For a forensic science that was worthy of respect, the police officer gave Yunjian the highest respect. Hearing this, Yunjian squinted her eyes and nodded. Police officer, how's the investigation of Lin Jiuyue's case? Yesterday, when Lin Jiuyue's parents heard the news, they both fainted and were sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. Lin Jiuyue's father said that if the school and the police did not give him an explanation, he would. So I'm here to ask about the situation. A mature man's urgent voice sounded. Yunjian turned her head and saw a middle-aged man in his 40s standing in front of her. Lin Jiuyue was the real name of the deceased Sister Biao. It was hard to imagine that such a boorish girl like Sister Biao would have such a literary and ladylike name. But if one only looked at Sister Biao's appearance, she was so petite that she was only slightly shorter than Yunjian. Her perfect figure matched Lin Jiuyue's literary and ladylike name. You are Lin Jiuyue's class teacher, right? The police officer looked at the middle-aged man in his 40s and asked. Yes, the middle-aged man nodded. This middle-aged man was Sister Biao's class teacher, Teacher Yang. The case has already begun its investigation. I believe there will be a result soon. If you are still worried, you can come with us to take a look. At the same time, You can also provide information about Lin Jiyue's current situation and relationships in school. The police officer looked at Teacher Yang and said, Okay. As long as you can find the unpardonable murderer, I will definitely cooperate with you. Teacher Yang listened and quickly nodded. Yes. The policeman nodded at Mr. Yang, then turned to look at Yun Jian and extended his hand to Yun Jian. Let me formally introduce myself. My surname is Zhou. You can call me Captain Zhou. I am the person in charge of the investigation of this case. Yun Jian didn't reach out, but she nodded. Wei Lin. Seeing Yun Jian and Captain Zhou walking toward the crime scene, Luo Jejun and Wei Min gulped. You guys go back first. I'll follow them and see what's going on. Luo Jejun couldn't help but retort. With that, Luo Jejun chased after Yun Jian. I'll go too. When Wei Min heard this, she gritted her teeth and quickly followed. When Wei Zhe and Hong Ling saw this, they naturally couldn't just leave on their own, and the two of them chased after him. The crime scene is right in front of us. The victim was found in the girls' toilet on the west side of the school. As far as we know, during the last class of the evening self-study period, the victim asked for leave from the teacher to go to the toilet because she needed to pee. Later, the victim's head was found soaked in the toilet pit. It's suspected that she was soaked in the water in the toilet pit and suffocated to death. Captain Zhou took the lead and led Yun Jian in that direction, talking as they walked. Captain Zhou paused and said, The body is still in the girls' toilet on the west side of the school. Because it's suspected to be a homicide, the crime scene hasn't been changed in order to investigate the case thoroughly. After hearing Captain Zhou's words, Yun Jian only responded softly. At this time, Luo Jejun had already taken the lead and ran to Yun Jian's side. He was a little out of breath from running. After grabbing a handful of his short black hair, Luo Jejun spoke to Yun Jian. Can you do it? A forensic doctor has to face a corpse. You're a girl, aren't you afraid? No matter what, Yun Jian was just an 18-year-old girl in the prime of her youth. Moreover, although Yun Jian had shown extraordinary strength in front of everyone before, she had never killed or seen a dead person in public. Therefore, Luo Jejun was very doubtful. After hearing Luo Jejun's words, Yun Jian, whose path was blocked, stopped in her tracks. She coldly looked at Luo Jejun with contempt and said indifferently, I've killed more people than you've peed in your entire life. Do you think a corpse can scare me? Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2350, page 1/1. Pee that has been spilled. These 4 words stunned everyone present. Logically speaking, such words coming out of the mouth of an 18-year-old girl would more or less carry a trace of awkwardness, unnaturalness, rudeness, and shamelessness. But when these words came out of Yun Jian's mouth, there was no sense of contradiction at all. However, what made Luo Jejun, Wei Min, Wei Zhe, and Hong Ling, who had caught up with them, suddenly stunned was not the metaphor of these 4 words, but had she Yun Jian killed someone before? Even Captain Zhou couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in surprise when he heard Yun Jian's words. It's just a joke. Ignore them. When everyone present heard Yun Jian's words and felt shocked and terrified, Yun Jian's voice sounded again. These words were directed at Captain Zhou. Haha. Although the girl was young, she was still a forensic doctor at the International Supreme Court of Forensic Medicine. If she was really afraid of corpses, she would not have been able to enter the International Supreme Court of Forensic Medicine. You youngsters, if you're afraid, then don't come in. The victim's death was so tragic that I'm afraid it'll leave you with a shadow. Hurry up and leave. Captain Zhou was a very upright police officer. Before he brought Yun Jian into the crime scene, he waved at Luo Jejun and the others. She's not afraid and neither am I. I'll go in with you. Luo Jejun couldn't help but refuse. I want to go too. When Wei Min saw that Luo Jejun wanted to go in, she also spoke up. Yun Jian ignored Luo Jejun and the others. She followed Captain Zhou and quickly entered the crime scene. Of course, before entering the crime scene, Captain Zhou gave Yun Jian a set of forensic tools. At that time, Yun Jian walked into the toilet and put on a pair of sterile gloves. Although Mr. Yang was also a little scared, he still followed them into the toilet. At this moment, Yun Jian was walking at the front. She didn't panic at all when she saw the corpse. As for Wei Min, Hong Ling, and Wei Zhe, they followed closely behind Luo Jiejun. Luo Jiejun's forehead also broke out in cold sweat, but when he saw that Yun Jian was not afraid at all, he gritted his teeth and pretended not to be afraid at all, and continued to follow her. Captain Zhou had already seen Sister Biao's corpse, so he was not afraid or flustered at all. By then, everyone had already arrived at the toilet pit, where the corpse was found. The few people present suddenly saw a corpse lying not far away. Its head was slightly swollen from being soaked in water. Its face was pale, its hands drooping, and its long black hair disheveled. Suddenly seeing this scene, Wei Min screamed. Then, she fiercely hugged Luo Jiejun, and was so scared that her whole body trembled. Even Luo Jiejun's face turned pale when he saw this scene. Needless to say, the deceased was not far away. Not to mention Wei Min, Hong Ling, and Wei Zhe, even the bravest Luo Jiejun did not dare to walk forward. If you're afraid, you can leave first, Captain Zhou immediately said to Luo Jiejun and the others. I think I'd better leave first. Teacher Yang's face turned pale. He was a little frightened by the tragic state of the corpse. After saying this to everyone, he hurriedly left the place. However, just when everyone was afraid, even Captain Zhou, who had already seen the corpse of the deceased, was shaken by the atmosphere. His heart trembled slightly. Yun Jian suddenly walked directly to Sister Biao's corpse in front of everyone. She reached out her hand that was wearing a sterile glove and placed it on Sister Biao's eyes. Then, she lifted Sister Biao's eyelids and roughly checked. Seeing Yun Jian suddenly walk in front of the corpse, not only was she not afraid, she even lifted the corpse's eyelids. Even Luo Jiejun felt a chill run down his spine. When Wei Min saw this, she screamed and pointed at Yun Jian. She shouted, she's not afraid. She's really not afraid. Translator, Hengyi Translations Editor, Hengyi Translations. Chapter 2351. Wei Min's chattering made Yun Jian frown. She scanned the floor before standing up and speaking to Captain Zhou. Send the body to the autopsy room, and ask the parents if they're willing to let me do the autopsy. This is the fastest way to find out the truth. Even if someone died in an accident, or was suspected to be a homicide or suicide, the forensic doctor would still need to seek the consent of the deceased's parents before he could do the autopsy. Okay, Captain Zhou responded, and went out to get a few people to send the body to the autopsy room. He then sent someone to the hospital to ask about Sister Biao's parents. Yun Jian was already walking out of the washroom. Taking 2 steps, she glanced at Wei Min from the corner of her eyes and said coldly, "Shut your mouth and get away from me. Otherwise I'll dissect you too." Hearing Yun Jian say that she would dissect her too, Wei Min was so scared that her face turned pale. She leaned on Luo Jiejun and said to Yun Jian, "Lin, how can you talk to your sister like that? I don't want to be a burden to you, but I can't shut my mouth." Wei Min grabbed Luo Jiejun's hand and said to Yun Jian innocently. However, just as she finished speaking, Yun Jian ignored Wei Min and walked out. Seeing this, Wei Min was furious in her heart. However, she still smiled at the few people present with a calm expression. "I'm fine. I'm afraid that my sister can't handle it alone, so I came in with her. It's fine. Let's continue to follow her. I'm afraid that she'll be bullied." She made it sound like Wei Min was only following Yun Jian because she was worried about Yun Jian's safety. "Min'er, you're such a good sister. Your sister already said that about you, but you're still not angry." Hearing Wei Min's words, Hong Ling was really fooled by Wei Min's appearance. She immediately flipped her short red hair and said to Wei Min. Sister Biao's body was quickly moved to the autopsy room. Captain Zhou also received the news that Sister Biao's parents agreed to the autopsy, but they requested that the culprit be caught and brought to justice. At that moment, Yun Jian had just changed into a surgical gown and was about to enter the autopsy room. Forensic doctors and doctors were very similar in some aspects. For example, dissection required a scalpel, and the surgeon also used a scalpel. The dissection also required the same surgical gown and sterile gloves as the doctors. Just as Yun Jian was about to step into the autopsy room, a middle-aged man in his 50s suddenly walked over and blocked Yun Jian's path. I was the one who took over this case first. Even if you're from the top international forensic medical institution, you still have to follow the rules of our profession. The middle-aged man walked up to Yun Jian and said loudly. It turned out that before Yun Jian came forward, Captain Zhou had already sent someone to contact the forensic doctor. In the end, as soon as they agreed to help Yun Jian, the people on the other side had also successfully contacted the forensic doctor. The middle-aged man's surname was Hang, and he was the most famous forensic doctor in Piluo City. He had handled almost 1,000 cases in his life, and 800 of them were because of him alone. He had caught the real culprit and brought justice to the deceased. When he heard that a teenage girl had stolen his job, Hang medical examiner rushed over without saying anything. He had almost a lifetime of experience. So what if this little girl had the title of the highest international medical examiner? If her experience was not good enough, it was still useless. She did not have the ability. After hearing Hang medical examiner's words, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes slightly and retorted rudely. Come on, you'll probably never find the real culprit in this case. What do you mean? Hang medical examiner blew his beard and glared at her. Literally, Yun Jian crossed her arms and sneered. Then do you want to compete? Hang medical examiner was unconvinced. Seeing the sudden change in the situation, Luo Jejun, Captain Zhou, and the others were shocked. There's no need for that. However, Yun Jian's indifferent voice was heard. Just as Hang medical examiner thought that Yun Jian was admitting defeat, he heard Yun Jian's arrogant words in front of everyone present. Her words shocked everyone present. Because with your standard, you're not worthy of competing with me. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2352. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Hang medical examiner was a famous medical examiner in Piluo City. He had handled almost 1,000 cases and successfully found the real culprit in 800 cases. He was the one who brought justice to the deceased. This was because Hang medical examiner's observation was meticulous and could find clues from the scene of the crime. From these clues, he could solve the case completely. Whenever there was a trace of the murderer at the crime scene, Hang medical examiner would be able to see through it. Therefore, Hang medical examiner was very famous in Country Z's legal medical field. Because of Hang medical examiner's amazing ability, even outside of Piluo City, other provinces in Country Z would hire Hang medical examiner for help when they encountered difficult cases. This also fully demonstrated Hang medical examiner's great ability. What about Yun Jian? She actually said that Hang medical examiner's standard was not worthy of competing with her. Hang medical examiner was, after all, an extremely famous existence in Z country's medical field. What about her? Although she had a verified certificate from the highest international medical examiners institution, the certificate was just a form of writing. Hang medical examiner, at least in Country Z's legal medical field, was known by everyone. He was a real person who did the work. What about her? Even if she was from the highest international medical examiners institution, she was not even famous in the legal medical field before this. Sometimes fame represented ability. What was the use of having the best certificate? Therefore, after hearing Yun Jian's words, Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, Wei Min and Captain Zhou, who had been standing at the side, could not help but twitch the corners of their mouths. No matter how good Yun Jian was, Hang medical examiner's ability was right there for all to see. How could a little girl like her, who was not famous in the legal medical field, be compared to her? However, the few people present did not know that Yun Jian was not famous in the legal medical field, because she, Yun Jian, was hired as a special guest of the highest international medical examiners institution, with a high price in the name of the hand of death, in the medical field. To put it bluntly, Yun Jian was hired by the highest international medical examiners institution to keep up appearances. Have you ever seen a big boss move bricks with his workers? Asking Yun Jian, the hand of death, to handle the case was harder than ascending to the heavens. Therefore, she had never been famous in the forensic science world. However, if the name Hand of the Grim Reaper was mentioned, her fame was enough to shock the entire world. It was not something that a forensic doctor from Hangzhou could compare to. Young lady, you're indeed capable. You've entered the top international medical academy at such a young age. I don't know if I have any hope of entering that place in my lifetime, but in terms of strength and experience, I'm not inferior to you. We'll know who's better once we compete. Otherwise, I think you don't even dare to compete with me. The one who doesn't deserve to compete with me is you. Dr. Hang was also a very stubborn person who refused to admit defeat. After hearing Yun Jian's words, he used the same words to refute her. If Hang medical examiner flinched, Yun Jian would look down on such a person. However, Hang medical examiner stood up and spoke to Yun Jian in the same unflinching tone. Seeing this, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She had changed her opinion of Hang medical examiner from her initial dislike. Wei Lin, do you know what you're saying and doing? As your sister, I can't bear to see you make mistakes again and again. Why are you suddenly getting involved in this mess? Hurry up and come home with me. Wei Min felt that the more Yun Jian continued to speak, the more Luo Jiejun's eyes were fixed on Yun Jian. It was as if he was glued to Yun Jian and couldn't be pulled away. She was furious. After saying this, she walked over and acted as if her younger sister had done something wrong and was angry at her. As she spoke, she reached out to pull Yun Jian. However, just as Wei Min was about to reach out to pull Yun Jian didn't even look at Wei Min. She followed Wei Min's path and wrapped her hand around Wei Min's head like a snake's nimble body. Then, in front of everyone, Yun Jian looked at medical examiner Hang and pressed Wei Min's head against the corner of the wall. Just as Wei Min was about to suffocate from the pressure, Yun Jian suddenly grinned at medical examiner Hang and spoke as if nothing had happened. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I suddenly feel that you're not bad. Let's compete and see who can find the murderer first. Translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2353. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. No one was surprised by Yun Jian's sudden change in tone. Wei Min wanted to take Yun Jian away, but Yun Jian grabbed her by the head and pressed her against the wall. She almost suffocated and screamed for help. Ugh! Let go! I can't breathe. Brother Jun. Brother Jiejun, save me. Wei Min was pressed against the wall and almost suffocated. Her first reaction was to ask Luo Jiejun for help. Yun Jian pinned Wei Min's head to the corner of the wall with one hand, but her eyes were on medical examiner Hang, acting like nothing had happened. Wei Lin, that's your sister. You've gone too far this time. Wei Zhe was the first to rush up and save Wei Min from Yun Jian. Yun Jian tossed Wei Min to Wei Zhe before he rushed over and slowly took out a napkin from her pants pocket to wipe her hand that had touched Wei Min's head just now. Wei Lin, what's the meaning of this? Wei Zhe finally managed to save Wei Min, but when he saw Yun Jian wiping her hand in front of everyone, his face darkened. Wei Lin, I'm on Wei Min's side this time. You've gone too far. Luo Jiejun's lips curled as he spoke to Yun Jian like he was ordering her. Luo Jiejun was high and mighty. In the past, whenever a girl spoke to him, the girl would be so excited that she couldn't sleep for a few days and nights. Hence, Luo Jiejun's words always had a sense of superiority. Captain Zhou, tell me all the information you've collected about Lin Jiaoyue. However, whether it was Luo Jiejun or Wei Zhe, Yun Jian shouldn't ignore them. She crumpled the napkin into a ball and threw it into the trash can nearby without looking at it. Okay. Captain Zhou nodded and reported. According to the information I collected about Lin Jiaoyue this morning, there were only two major events that happened to Lin Jiaoyue recently. One was a few days ago. Lin Jiaoyue took the lead to bully a girl named Ling Qianqian. The other thing happened half a month ago. After a boy confessed to Lin Jiaoyue in public, Lin Jiaoyue humiliated him in public. According to insiders, After the boy was humiliated by Lin Jiayue, he lost all his love for Lin Jiayue and has been harboring hatred in his heart. He discussed with some other boys to teach Lin Jiayue a lesson. After Captain Zhou's words, everyone's eyes darkened. Only this much information? Then how should they investigate? Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and the others were stunned. Just as Luo Jiejun and the others were wondering where they should start with such a difficult case, where there was no trace of the murderer at the scene, Yun Jian suddenly spoke up. I'll go check Lin Jiayue's body. After that, Yun Jian walked towards the autopsy room. Hang medical examiner also had the same idea, so he entered with Yun Jian. Luo Jiejun and the others pondered for a while before following him. At that moment, Yun Jian had already lifted the white cloth covering the body on the operating table. From the looks of it, the deceased should have drowned and suffocated to death. I'll dissect the body. Hang medical examiner saw this and was about to put on his equipment to perform the autopsy. The cause of death of the deceased could not be discerned with the naked eye. The existence of a medical examiner was to let the dead speak. Some corpses seemed to have drowned to death, but the real cause of death was not what it appeared to be. At this time, it was necessary for a medical examiner to perform an autopsy and find the cause of death from the organs of the corpse. Therefore, an autopsy was needed. Finding the cause of death of the deceased was only to find the murderer faster. There's no need to look for it. It was stabbed to death by a silver needle. Just as Hang medical examiner was about to do it, Yun Jian suddenly said. After that, Yun Jian did not wait for anyone to react. She walked to the corpse and pulled out a silver needle from the long hair on the scalp of the corpse. Everyone who saw this scene was shocked. Yun Jian had not touched the corpse in such a secluded place. How did she find it so quickly? Even Hang medical examiner was stunned. However, just as everyone was shocked, Yun Jian curled her lips. She stared at the extremely difficult to find silver needle and said something that made everyone's eyes twitch fiercely. Only a professional can use the strength of their hands to stab an extremely thin silver needle into the top of a person's head. This move is the basic course of an assassin's organization. Top reading website, M. Chapter 2354. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. An Assassin's Foundation course? HSD. Wei Lin, how do you know that this is an Assassin's Foundation course? Before anyone could speak, the red-haired Hong Ling spoke first. After Hong Ling finished speaking, everyone stared at Yun Jian, as though they wanted to get an answer from Yun Jian. Hong Ling's words were what many wanted to ask. However, Yun Jian did not reply. She glanced to the side and continued. For those who have joined an assassin's organization, this is a compulsory foundation course. However, it does not exclude those who have learned it on their own. From the crime scene, I deduced that the victim was abducted on the way to the toilet and was then forcefully dragged into the toilet. At this point, Yun Jian paused for a moment before continuing. There are obvious footprints at the entrance of the toilet. A normal person's footprints should not be all over the entrance. I have already compared the footprints on the victim's shoes with the footprints at the entrance of the toilet. There is no doubt that it is the victim's footprints. Besides the victim's footprints, there is another person's footprints all over the entrance of the toilet. Obviously, those footprints belong to the murderer. Just from the footprints left behind by the victim at the entrance of the toilet, Yun Jian deduced that the victim was dragged into the toilet halfway. When everyone heard this, they were stunned. Yun Jian's observation was too detailed. No one would have thought of such details. Even medical examiner Hang could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth when he heard Yun Jian's words. Just as medical examiner Hang was about to speak, Yun Jian spoke again. Please leave first. I have something to confirm. It's not convenient for all of you to be here. After hearing Yun Jian's words, perhaps because of Yun Jian's words, everyone left the autopsy room obediently. Yun Jian closed the door of the autopsy room. 3 minutes later, Yun Jian left the autopsy room. The victim's vagina was ruptured. Judging from the bloodstains, it was ruptured less than 24 hours ago. There are obvious marks on the side of the victim's mouth. From this, we can conclude that the victim was raped and then killed. The murderer covered the victim's mouth to prevent her from crying out. Secondly, it made it easier for him to commit the crime. After Yun Jian left the autopsy room, Ben Ren spoke clearly to everyone. Rape and kill? Didn't Captain Zhou say that half a month ago, a boy confessed to Lin Jiayue and was humiliated instead? That boy admires Lin Jiayue, but harbors a grudge against her. Could he be the one who did this? Luo Jiejun was, after all, the future heir of the Luo family. He possessed intelligence that most people did not have. These words seemed to reveal everything. Brother Jiejun has never studied forensic science, but he's just that amazing. This is something that outsiders can never learn. Wei Min, who had been pressed against the wall by Yun Jian and almost suffocated, could not help but praise Luo Jiejun. However, Luo Jiejun ignored Wei Min. He turned to look at Captain Zhou and said, "Captain Zhou, should we detain the suspect now?" Luo Jiejun's words made a lot of sense to everyone present. Even Hong Ling and Wei Zhe felt that Luo Jiejun's analysis at this moment was comparable to Yun Jian's. Medical examiner Hang stood aside speechless. However, just as everyone was thinking this, Yun Jian suddenly said, "I already know who the murderer is. Captain Zhou, get ready to arrest him." As soon as these words came out, everyone present was dumbfounded. Medical examiner Hang was even more stunned. After being stunned for a moment, he looked at Yun Jian and asked with a changed expression, "What? You already know who the murderer is?" The complexity of this case is probably comparable to an S-rank mission. How long have you been on this mission? You already know who the murderer is. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2355. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. The S-level missions in the forensics world were the same as those in the assassin world. SSS level missions, S-level missions, A-level missions, B-level missions, from the big to the small, S-level missions were considered extremely difficult. As for SSS level missions, they only had a 5% success rate. Lin Jiayue's death was a complete mystery. The murderer must be a habitual offender who had erased all traces of the crime scene. Such a mission was considered an S-level mission, at least in the forensics world. For others, even at their fastest speed, it would take them several months to solve an S-rank mission. To be able to solve it, it would be considered impressive. But what about Yun Jian? How long had it been since she took over the mission? Did she already know who the murderer was? While everyone was still in shock, the group had already followed Yun Jian to Sister Biao's classroom. The boy who confessed to the victim was also in the victim's class. Could he really be the murderer? According to the investigation, the boy who confessed to the victim was not in the classroom on the day of her death. It was said that he had applied for leave. Captain Zhou suddenly spoke when they were about to reach Sister Biao's classroom. Yun Jian did not reply to his question. When they reached the classroom, Miss Yang, the homeroom teacher of Sister Biao's class, came out to receive them. Miss Yang was in class at the moment. When she saw Yun Jian and the rest, she hurried over to ask, "How is it? Did you find the murderer?" There were no surveillance cameras near the toilets of the Imperial Academy. This was also the reason why the murderer could not be found. Miss Yang was obviously very concerned about her classmate's death. After all, she was the homeroom teacher and had to take responsibility. "It's still under investigation. Can we enter the classroom to take a look?" Captain Zhou asked. "Of course, please." Mr. Yang had just finished his sentence when he heard a voice. "No need to enter the classroom." Yun Jian's voice suddenly rang out. What was she up to again? Hearing this, Wei Min and the rest's faces flashed with displeasure. However, just as Wei Min was thinking this, Yun Jian had already looked straight at Miss Yang in front of everyone. "You were not there on the night of the incident." "Yeah, last night's self-study session wasn't my class." Mr. Yang nodded. "So after killing Lin Jiayue, you framed everything on the boy who confessed to Lin Jiayue half a month ago. Do you really think that no one knows what you've done, Teacher Yang?" Yun Jian narrowed her eyes, looked at Teacher Yang, and suddenly said. As soon as these words were spoken, Everyone present was stunned. What are you talking about? Mr. Yang was also stunned. He looked at Yun Jian and said in a daze, "You are indeed very capable. You destroyed all the evidence at the scene. But from the beginning, your expression told me everything." Yun Jian ignored Mr. Yang's rebuttal and continued speaking. Upon hearing Yun Jian's words, Teacher Yang suddenly laughed coldly. After that, Mr. Yang stopped arguing. He reached out and tore off the human skin mask on his face. Then in front of everyone present he said, "Haha. So what? That's right. I'm not that idiot Yang Jihong. That fool had already gone to hell. But even if you found out about me, what can you do? Before I retired, I was an ace assassin in the International Underground Assassin Organization. I'm already very surprised that you were able to find out that it was me who did it. But if you want to capture me with just your group of trash, then you're all delusional. What police, what medical examiner? In my hands, you're just a group of small fries." Mr. Yang suddenly changed his face and claimed to be an ace assassin in the Underground Assassin Organization. This identity scared Luo Jiejun and the others. Captain Zhou and medical examiner Hang were not in a hurry to turn back. Assassin? And he was an ace assassin in the underground. Everyone present was scared by this change and took 3 steps back. However, just as everyone's face changed and kept retreating, Yun Jian, who stood in the same place without moving, suddenly raised her eyes. That pair of deep black eyes was now stained with a trace of blood red. Then, she looked at Teacher Yang and suddenly curled her lips into a cold smile. Then, in front of everyone present, she said to Teacher Yang, a sentence that shocked everyone present. "Ace assassin in the underground? Which organization are you from? How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Do you know when I was in the assassin and secret agent world, you didn't even know what I was?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2356. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Once Yun Jian said that, everyone's eyes widened in shock as they bulged out of their sockets. What did she say? When she was in the world of assassins and secret agents? To be able to say something like that, it meant that Yun Jian was an assassin and secret agent. She had also been in the world of assassins and secret agents. Then her true identity was, "Little brat, are you even 18 years old? You want to compare who has been in the world of assassins and secret agents for longer? I've been in the world of assassins for 30 years. In terms of experience and ability, I'm definitely not weaker than you." Teacher Yang heard Yun Jian's words and refuted Yun Jian loudly before anyone could react. His words were equally arrogant, but there was a confidence in his words that no outsider could imitate. In Teacher Yang's opinion, Yun Jian was at most an 18-year-old girl. In his words, she hadn't even grown her hair yet she dared to say something like, "When I was in the world of assassins and secret agents, you didn't even know what you were." Wei Lin, don't be stubborn. This matter is no longer something we can interfere with. Come back quickly. Let's leave this matter to the police. Luo Jiejun saw Yun Jian standing in front of Teacher Yang and was afraid that Teacher Yang would hurt Yun Jian. He quickly spoke up and tried to call Yun Jian back. "Yes, come back quickly. You're a genius in the world of forensic medicine. You've already completed your mission the moment you found the murderer. I've already contacted the Puyo City Armed Police Force. I believe that the Armed Police Force will be here soon to assist us in apprehending the murderer. You don't have to interfere with the rest of the matter." Captain Zhou and Luo Jiejun used the same tone to speak to Yun Jian. In fact, Yun Jian's words about being a secret agent and a member of the assassin world were just a bluff from Captain Zhou and Luo Jiejun's point of view. Yun Jian purposely lied to Teacher Yang. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, Yun Jian still dared to speak to Teacher Yang in such a tone. If Yun Jian didn't retreat in the next second, she would definitely lose her life here. Teacher Yang suddenly chuckled. "That slut Lin Jiaoyue refused to be my woman and even scolded me for being the scum of society. She said that I would go to hell sooner or later. TSK, look for yourselves, that's what happened to her." But you little brat actually dare to use such a tone to talk to me. Do you want to end up like that bitch Lin Jiaoyue? Teacher Yang spoke in a slow and leisurely tone, giving off a sense of leisure and laziness. At this point, Teacher Yang cast a sidelong glance at Yun Jian and continued speaking in front of everyone. Tizk, seeing how pretty you are, I really can't bear to kill you, but… Teacher Yang. When he said this, he suddenly paused. His black eyes were originally staring at the ground. In the next second, he didn't continue speaking. After pausing, Teacher Yang suddenly raised his eyes that had been staring at the ground. At that moment, he was already charging towards Yun Jian like a bolt of lightning. Immediately after making his move, Teacher Yang bent his hand into a very standard eagle's claw and extended it towards Yun Jian's neck. At the same time, a sinister voice suddenly sounded. But you can still go to hell. Teacher Yang's sudden attack made everyone present unable to react in time. When Luo Jiejun and the others saw this, their eyes fiercely froze and even their breathing stopped at the same time. It's over. It's too late. Yun Jian is finished. That kind of fast killer move. If one hadn't been in the assassin world for more than 10 years, they wouldn't have been able to withstand it. However, just when everyone thought that Yun Jian was finished, they saw that when Teacher Yang made his move, not only did Yun Jian's face not have the slightest bit of panic, but there was also an incomparably cold smile. In the next second, everyone suddenly saw a scene that caused their pupils to shrink and their mouths to open wide in shock. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2357. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1, Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Teacher Yang bent his hands into the shape of an eagle's claw, reaching towards Yun Jian's neck with lightning speed. He planned to grab Yun Jian's neck and kill Yun Jian in one move. The speed of his attack, the way he attacked, it was so fast that no one could react in time. His speed, if he wasn't a trained ace assassin, he definitely wouldn't have the ability to do this. An ace assassin from an underground assassin organization. That was a terrifying existence. To the police, an ace assassin who had undergone strict training, who had been through life and death situations, and who had grown up in a survival of the fittest environment, was simply a nightmare. But even so, a powerful ace assassin from an underground assassin organization would still be caught by the police. But at least for now, Captain Zhou and the few ordinary policemen he brought from the police station, plus Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe and the other students, as well as Hang Medical Examiner, there was no way they could compete with Teacher Yang. Not to mention saving Yun Jian from the murderous Teacher Yang, who belonged to a group of terrifying assassins from an assassin organization. No, Wei Lin. Dodge. Luo Jiejun's face suddenly changed. He was so scared that his face suddenly turned pale. Even his teeth started to tremble. Luo Jiejun was so scared that his face suddenly turned pale, his teeth trembling, because he was afraid that Yun Jian would be killed by Teacher Yang. During this period, Luo Jiejun had been paying more and more attention to Yun Jian. At this moment, Yun Jian was like a cloud of fog to Luo Jiejun. The secrets she carried were like a bottomless pit that attracted Luo Jiejun's attention. If Yun Jian died, then all of this would be gone. So Luo Jiejun couldn't bear it, and almost at the same time, he shouted out these words in a hoarse voice. If it was said that Wei Min had never seen Luo Jiejun's various actions before. But at this moment, when Wei Min saw that Luo Jiejun was about to be killed by Teacher Yang because of Yun Jian, she screamed on the spot. Wei Min's face hardened again, her nails digging into her flesh. Die! Die! Ha ha ha! Go to hell like Lin Jiaoyue, that untouchable bitch! Ha ha ha! However, the crowd only saw that Teacher Yang had already arrived in front of Yun Jian. At that moment, Teacher Yang's hand had already curled into an eagle's claw and was about to grab Yun Jian's neck and deliver a fatal blow. No! Luo Jiejun, Captain Zhou, Hang Medical Examiner, and a few other people who cared about Yun Jian all let out a fatal cry. just as the crowd screamed and closed their eyes in despair, waiting to see Yun Jian's neck snapped with a crack after Miss Yang grabbed her and killed her on the spot. Yun Jian's face suddenly turned pale. All the others saw was a flicker in Yun Jian's eyes. The next moment, just as Teacher Yang's hand was about to reach Yun Jian leaned to the side and dodged Teacher Yang's attack. Then in a flash, she appeared behind Teacher Yang. Even Teacher Yang did not have time to react at this speed. Everyone was shocked, but Yun Jian hooked Teacher Yang with her leg and tripped him. The moment Teacher Yang was tripped and fell to the ground, the two butterfly knives in her hands flew out. The saber flashed in an instant and slashed through the meridians of Mr. Yang's wrists and ankles at the speed of lightning. Poof! Blood splattered everywhere. The blood drew a curve in the air and sank into the dust on the ground. This speed was so fast that Teacher Yang did not even have time to react. It was so fast that everyone present widened their eyes. Ah! Teacher Yang's scream suddenly rang out. In the next second, Yun Jian stepped on Mr. Yang from the back and sneered at him in front of everyone. Mr. Yang, you're the one who's being bullied. I already said that when I was in the assassin and secret agent world, you didn't even know what you were. Crippling your limbs. In the past you were barely considered something, but now you're a complete piece of trash. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2358. Page 1/1. Yun Jian's action of using the butterfly knife to cut Teacher Yang's limbs was completely different from ordinary people cutting their wrists and ankles. These 4 slashes were fast, accurate, and ruthless. It looked like a random cut, no different from a cut on the skin. However, everyone in the circle of assassins and secret agents knew that this was definitely a move that the assassin organization would pass on to the assassin secret agent when the assassin secret agent was trained to the peak state. If this move wasn't executed properly, it could even lead to one's death. In order to execute this move, one must be familiar with the use of the butterfly knife, coupled with nimble movements, and a series of continuous movements. More importantly, Yun Jian's seemingly random 4 slashes were actually aimed at the vital points. 4 slashes, just 4 slashes. These 4 slashes had actually severed the meridians of Teacher Yang's left and right hands. In other words, Teacher Yang would never be able to lift his hands or walk with his feet. His hands and feet were completely and utterly crippled. The screaming Teacher Yang was now paralyzed on the ground. He looked at Yun Jian in horror, his face no longer having the arrogance he had when he was shouting at Yun Jian. That move just now, that move was indeed a killer move from an assassin organization. Moreover, it was one of the most difficult killer moves to learn among the killer moves. As far as I know, there are no more than 10 people in this world who know how to use the same move as you did just now. Who are you? Mr. Yang, who was paralyzed on the floor, did not even care about the pain of his limbs being crippled. His eyes rolled up, and his eyes were wide as he stared at Yun Jian, like he was trying to find an answer from her face. You can take him away now. You can interrogate him however you want. Also, for this mission, please erase the record of my assistance. Thank you. Yun Jian didn't say anything else. She inserted the 2 butterfly knives into her thighs, then turned and left after speaking to Captain Zhou. If your assistance is reported, it will be recorded as a great merit. Are you sure you want to erase the record of your assistance, and even the main person who succeeded in this mission? Captain Zhou couldn't help but ask when he saw Yun Jian turn and leave. Erase it. Unexpectedly, Yun Jian didn't even stop. She left these 2 simple words and left. For a forensic doctor, fame was more important than anything else. Successfully solving a case wasn't just a monetary reward for a forensic doctor. It was also a rise in fame. Only with a rise in fame would you be able to get more cases in the future, and more people would hire you to solve cases. When Hang's medical examiner heard Yun Jian's reply, he was stunned. He finally understood. Why was Yun Jian, a person who was invited as a special guest by the top international medical institution, not at all famous internationally? That was because she had solved the case and didn't care to leave her name. This result stunned Hang's medical examiner. It also made Luo Jiejun and the others gulp hard. If an ordinary person had Yun Jian's ability to solve a case, they would have bragged to the heavens. But what about Yun Jian? She actually asked to erase her record and didn't ask for credit? Luo Jiejun looked at Yun Jian's departing footsteps and pondered. She was really getting more and more charming. Top reading website M. Chapter 2359. A few days later, after Captain Zhou arrested Teacher Yang, the results of the case were out. That day, Yun Jian had just arrived at the classroom when her deskmate, Luo Jichen, rushed into the classroom and told Yun Jian about the gossip he had heard over the past few days. Wei Lin, did you know? The results of the case that was solved 2 days ago are out. I didn't expect the police to be so powerful. They solved the case in just 2 days. Take a guess. Lin Jiuyue's death, who did it? Luo Jichen didn't know what happened that day. He thought that Yun Jian didn't know anything, so he asked Yun Jian in a suspenseful tone. Who? Yun Jian knew it was intentional. At that, Luo Jichen looked at Yun Jian with a grin that said, "You don't know about this, do you?" and spoke. "I knew you wouldn't be able to guess. Hee. The truth is out. It was Lin Jiuyue's homeroom teacher who did it." Lin Jiuyue's real homeroom teacher, Yang Jihong, was already dead. The person who pretended to be Lin Jiuyue's homeroom teacher was an ace killer. He was amazing, but he was still caught by the police. As expected of our Z country's armed police force, they're amazing. The real reason why Teacher Yang killed Lin Jiuyue was because Lin Jiuyue was bold and unrestrained, but she fell in love with Yang Jihong, who was already married at that time. He was Lin Jiuyue's real homeroom teacher. Teacher Yang originally lived as an ordinary person. He once met Lin Jiuyue by chance and confessed to her that he wanted her to be his mistress. Lin Jiuyue refused, so Teacher Yang killed Yang Jihong in revenge and pretended to be Yang Jihong to trick Lin Jiuyue into going to the toilet. But who knew that Lin Jiuyue found out that Yang Jihong was disguised by Teacher Yang, so she wanted to run away. In the end, she was dragged to the toilet by Teacher Yang. After a round of violence, Teacher Yang killed Lin Jiuyue with a silver needle with a perverted mind of revenge. He then pretended that Lin Jiuyue had committed suicide by soaking her head in the toilet. Everything was settled. It could only be said that Lin Jiuyue was very unlucky to have met Teacher Yang, an ace assassin from an assassin organization. Sometimes, when a person's luck starts to deteriorate, you can't stop it. You can even choke to death while drinking water. That's how it works. On this day, Yun Jian went to the school cafeteria for breakfast. She really wanted to eat sauerkraut today, so she brought some sauerkraut and gave it to the cafeteria auntie to add into the stir-fried noodles. After that, he placed the fried noodles in front of a table and sat down to eat. It was really strange. These days, her appetite was getting bigger and bigger. In the past, Yun Jian's appetite was not small, but now, her appetite was 3 times as much as before. Therefore, Yun Jian's bowl of fried noodles was equivalent to 3 bowls of ordinary fried noodles. It was Yun Jian who deliberately asked the cafeteria auntie to prepare 3 servings. Damn, Wei Lin, you're eating so much again. Luo Jichen stepped on the stool and jumped onto it. He sat on the stool, holding a lunchbox that was 1/3 the size of Yun Jian's stir-fried noodles. He stared at her in a daze. Yun Jian responded softly and continued to eat her noodles. At this moment, Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and Hong Ling just happened to walk past the table where Yun Jian and Luo Jichen were sitting. At this moment, Luo Jichen was looking at Yun Jian with great interest. When Luo Jiejun and the others walked past Yun Jian, Luo Jichen suddenly said to Yun Jian, "Hee, Wei Lin, don't tell me you're pregnant. I heard that women eat a lot when they're pregnant. And to be able to eat 3 times more than ordinary people, this means that there are 2 in your stomach. Don't tell me you're pregnant with twins." Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2360. Luo Jichen was grinning as he said this, his face full of ridicule. As he spoke, his deep black eyes seemed to stare at Yunjian's stomach that wasn't bulging, and he was all smiles. Suddenly hearing Luo Jichen's words, Yunjian's hand, that was holding the stir-fried noodles, suddenly paused. Jichen, what nonsense are you talking about? You're usually ignorant and incompetent in the academy, hanging out with your hooligan friends every day. I don't care about you anymore. But what kind of nonsense are you spewing out of your mouth? Wei Lin is still a pure and innocent girl. She hasn't even had a boyfriend. How could she be pregnant? Luo Jiejun had just walked past Yunjian and Luo Jichen when he suddenly heard Luo Jichen's words. Luo Jiejun stopped almost at the same time, turned around and scolded Luo Jichen. Luo Jiejun suddenly stopped and said such words to his younger brother Luo Jichen. This action shocked everyone present. Needless to say, Luo Jiejun was paying more and more attention to Yunjian now. He was just passing by. But when he heard Luo Jichen's words, Luo Jiejun immediately stopped and scolded his own younger brother in such a tone. And it was because of a girl. This was something that had never happened before. No, brother, can't you tell? I'm just joking with Wei Lin. We usually joke around too. If you don't believe me, you can ask Wei Lin. Luo Jichen was so scared that his face trembled, and he quickly waved his hand and pointed at Yunjian. Wei Lin, don't you think so? Luo Jichen looked at Yunjian with an expression that begged her for help, and his hands were begging for help. He didn't want his big brother to complain to his dad. Yunjian responded softly. Then she picked up the pickled cabbage stirred in the stir-fried noodles, chewed it, and continued to eat. Yunjian didn't think that she was pregnant. She used to eat a lot, and recently, she didn't feel like vomiting anymore, so it obviously wasn't a sign of pregnancy. Moreover, even if she was really pregnant, she definitely wouldn't let Luo Jiejun and the others know. Luo Jiejun, Wei Min, and the others had their own thoughts when they saw that Yunjian was too lazy to say anything else after replying. Not long after, Yunjian finished her meal and left. From the beginning to the end, she did not pay any attention to Luo Jiejun, Wei Min, and the others. Captain Zhou came to see Yunjian for the last time. He brought Yunjian the last news about Sister Biao, who was also Lin Jiuyue. Lin Jiuyue's family was very wealthy. Her family's cash flow was enough to buy 10 of the largest and most expensive private helicopters in one go. Men tend to be fickle when they have money. Lin Jiuyue has a father who has multiple wives. Modern society didn't allow polygamy. Lin Jiuyue's biological mother died early, and her stepmother married her father. Lin Jiuyue's father also kept as many as 10 female students, or mistresses in their 20s. Later, Lin Jiuyue's father simply brought his mistress, and the children they had outside home to live together. Only one wife could register a marriage certificate. However, the country didn't stipulate that one couldn't keep mistresses, nor did it stipulate that everyone couldn't live together. Lin Jiuyue's father had many sons and daughters, so it didn't make much of a difference. Moreover, Lin Jiuyue's father favored boys over girls. Because Lin Jiuyue was a girl, he had always disliked her. Lin Jiuyue grew up in such a family. She was bullied by her half-siblings and her father's mistresses since she was young. She grew up without any sense of existence, so she yearned to become stronger. It was also because of this that she began to madly learn taekwondo, judo, and so on just to become stronger. She wanted to be like a well-liked boy, and she wanted her only biological father to pay attention to her. In school, she bullied others because she wanted people to pay attention to her. All of this was recorded in Lin Jiuyue's codebook. Captain Zhou handed the last page to Yunjian and said, "This codebook should be the deceased's diary when she was alive. You're mentioned in it." Yunjian took it and flattened the pages of the codebook. She saw that the last page of Lin Jiuyue's diary was written on it. "Not long ago, I saw Ling Chanqian despising her father in the market again. Her father was poor and sold vegetables in the market. But her father was really good to her. So good that it made me envious. When can my father be like her father and care about me a little more? Even if it's just a little more, even if our family is as poor as her family, or even poorer, it doesn't matter. I have hands and feet. I can support my father and myself. I don't care about money. I just want to live with my parents. So when I saw Ling Qianqian, I couldn't help but want to bully her. I want her to understand that she should treat her father better, even if her father is just a farmer who sells vegetables. Oh, by the way, I met a very beautiful girl today. She has a strong aura and is very domineering. She's my type. She saved Ling Qianqian from my hands. I heard that her name is Wei Lin, the youngest daughter of the Wei family, who just returned to the Wei family. She was also bullied by her sister, Wei Min, but she's so powerful. I heard that she dared to directly fight back against her so-called sister. If I can be as powerful as her one day, then I won't be bullied by them. I really want to be friends with her. I don't know if I'll have the chance in the future, hehe. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2361. Seeing the last sentence, Yunjian's red arc slightly closed, and her long eyelashes fluttered up and down. Captain Zhou didn't notice these subtle expressions at all. At that time, Captain Zhou couldn't find any change in Yunjian's expression when she saw the last page of Lin Juyue's diary. Can you give me this codebook? Yunjian didn't raise her head to look at Captain Zhou, and asked bluntly. Originally, the deceased's belongings should be handed over to the deceased's relatives, but I think the deceased's relatives don't care. Even the body of the deceased was claimed by the deceased's nanny. Take this codebook if you want it, Captain Zhou said to Yunjian, after hearing Yunjian's words. Thank you, Yunjian said softly, then turned and left. 5 days later. It was a sunny day, but the temperature difference between day and night was huge. In the winter night, the cold wind was bone-chilling. It could make people shiver all over, and their legs tremble. It was daytime when the sun was high up in the sky. If people walked to a dark place, they would also shiver from the cold. However, if they stood under the sun, they could feel the warmth of the sun. It wasn't hot at all. Lin family. After Lin Jiayue's death, her body was taken home by Lin Juyue's nanny. She was cremated at the crematorium and brought back an urn. There was no intention of holding a funeral inside or outside the Lin family. At this moment, Lin Juyue's father, Lin Xingyuan, was holding a banquet to entertain his business friends. Lin Xingyuan didn't intend to hold a funeral at all. He just wanted to use the funeral of one of his daughters to hold a big banquet, make friends in the business world, and try to expand his company. Lin Xingyuan wasn't good-looking. His skin was so rough that it was difficult to look at it directly. He had big ears, a big mouth, and a big nose. His face was flat and rectangular, and he was only 161 centimeters tall. At this time, Lin Xingyuan was holding his mistress Zhang Xiaomei. Zhang Xiaomei was 168 centimeters tall. When she stood next to Lin Xingyuan, there was a stark difference in height. Dear say, Lin Jiayue has already passed away, and this urn is placed at the entrance of our living room. How ominous is that? If you ask me, let's throw that thing out the door. My dear, I say this for the good of our family. How ominous would it be if so many big bosses came up tonight and saw that urn? What a disappointment, right? At this moment, Zhang Xiaomei was about to stick her full breasts to Lin Xingyuan. She used all her strength to blow air into Lin Xingyuan's ear. Good. I'll do as you say. Lin Xingyuan patted Zhang Xiaomei's butt and nodded. Zhang Xiaomei was only 20 years old. She was young enough to be his new mistress. She was pretty, and most importantly, she was good in bed. After Lin Xingyuan agreed with Zhang Xiaomei, he hurriedly called the Lin family's only nanny over. Lin Jiayue's mother passed away early, so Lin Jiayue was raised by her nanny. Lin Jiayue's death caused the nanny to be in pain and worry for the past few days. When she heard that Lin Xingyuan was going to move Lin Jiayue's urn from the Lin family's living room to the door, the nanny's tears instantly fell. She stood up and resisted Lin Xingyuan for the first time. Master, Yu is also your daughter. She hasn't been buried yet, so let her stay at home for a while. It's cold outside, I'm afraid of her. I'm afraid of her catching a cold. As the nanny spoke, her tears couldn't stop falling. Her good daughter, wow. She was only in her teens, and at such a young age, she had already entered heaven. Moreover, was there no room for her ashes in the house? Is this family yours or mine? You don't want to let it go. Good. Someone move the urn and all the wreaths, these ominous things out. Lin Xingyuan was so angry that a lump of air came out of his nose and he roared. Someone immediately walked over to throw the urn and wreaths, which symbolized Lin Zhuyue's farewell, out of the Lin family's door. The nanny cried as she rushed over to stop them, but she was pushed to the ground. Just as the mistress Zhang Xiaomei smirked and her plan succeeded, the door was suddenly kicked open. The solid door was uprooted and kicked over 10 meters away, almost crushing one of the guests. At that moment, a beautiful girl who had stopped outside the door and entered, immediately appeared in front of everyone's frightened eyes. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2362. When Yun Jian appeared in front of everyone, everyone present was so shocked that they trembled violently. Who was this young girl, who suddenly appeared in front of everyone? Looking at her age, she shouldn't be more than 18. An 18-year-old girl had actually kicked away a huge door with a single kick. What kind of leg strength did she have to be able to do that? Everyone present was shocked by Yun Jian's kick. Lin Xingyuan and Zhang Xiaomei were no exception. But after regaining his senses, Lin Xingyuan stared at Yun Jian with vigilance and asked, "Who are you? Do you know where this is? How dare you trespass on private property?" However, Yun Jian only raised her head slightly and glanced at Lin Xingyuan from the corner of her eyes. Then, she walked to the side of the Lin family's hall and walked to an inconspicuous corner. That was where Lin Zhuyue's urn was originally placed. "Security! Security! Get him out of here!" Seeing Yun Jian walk to the place where Lin Zhuyue's urn was placed, Lin Xingyuan shouted loudly in an exaggerated tone. What Lin Xingyuan was afraid of was, of course, not that Yun Jian would destroy Lin Zhuyue's urn, but that he was frightened by Yun Jian's kick just now. He was afraid that Yun Jian would turn around and deal with him. Just as Lin Xingyuan was shouting in a frightened voice, the nanny suddenly gritted her teeth and rushed 2 steps in front of Lin Xingyuan. Then, in front of all the guests, she knelt down in front of Lin Xingyuan. "Master, I beg you, today is Yu Yu's last day in the Lin family. Don't let her leave sadly. That little girl should be Yu Yu's friend. Let her send Yu Yu off. I beg you, master." The nanny couldn't stop crying. She kowtowed to Lin Xingyuan while pleading loudly. After all, the nanny had worked in the Lin family for decades. Moreover, she was his own flesh and blood, so Lin Xingyuan nodded and agreed after hearing this. However, just as Lin Xingyuan was about to nod and agree, "Dear, I've seen Ye's friend before. That woman just kicked our door in front of Ye's morning hall. She's definitely not Ye's friend. Also, putting the urn in the main hall is really inauspicious. My dear, don't you love me anymore?" Annoying. Zhang Xiaomei grabbed Lin Xingyuan's hand and used her chest to touch Lin Xingyuan's head while acting coquettishly. "My dear, you're right. Go and get the urn and all that stuff out. Put it at the back door." Hearing Zhang Xiaomei's coquettish voice, Lin Xingyuan's lower body tightened. He quickly listened to Zhang Xiaomei's words and asked someone to move Lin Jiayue's urn to the back door. She didn't even allow Lin Jiayue to leave the Lin family's main gate. However, as soon as Lin Xingyuan finished speaking, a ping-pang sound was suddenly heard. Hearing this voice, everyone looked in the same direction. Not far from where the sound came from, Yun Jian was already standing in front of Lin Jiayue's urn. They saw a clean butterfly knife thrown directly on the table by Yun Jian. After making a loud noise in this quiet place, it appeared in front of everyone. Suddenly seeing this clean butterfly knife, everyone's face suddenly froze. At that time, Yun Jian was looking at the black and white photo of Lin Jiayue's smiling face above Lin Jiayue's urn. She was expressionless in front of everyone present. When everyone's faces changed dramatically in horror, she said, "You and I are the same. We both live in a world where we can't help ourselves. You said that you want to be as powerful as me, and I also want to be as ordinary as you. This butterfly knife has been with me for more than 10 years. The number of souls that died under my butterfly knife is exactly 5,000, no more, no less. Now, I'm giving it to you. I'll accept your wish for you. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2363. Yun Jian's words instantly stirred up the shock and fear of all the guests present. Even some people's faces gradually turned as white as a sheet of paper at a speed that outsiders could clearly see. Shock, fear, horror. There was not a single person in the crowd who was not affected by these three words. For a moment, the scene was so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. Everyone maintained a stunned expression, and no one dared to take the lead and make a sound. Among them, Lin Xingyuan and Zhang Xiaomei's expressions were the most exaggerated. After hearing Yun Jian's words, Lin Xingyuan and Zhang Xiaomei's faces completely froze. The two of them were so frightened that their faces changed drastically, and even their bodies started to tremble violently. What did she just say? She said that the souls of the deceased under the butterfly knife were exactly 5,000 people. No more, no less. This 5,000 people. Could it be that the souls of the deceased under the knife, a total of 5,000 people, were all killed by this girl standing in front of Lin Zhiyue's urn and portrait? Who was she? How could she kill so many people? Lin Xingyuan never imagined that Yun Jian was such a terrifying existence. He was so frightened that he almost suffocated. You, what do you want? Recalling the scene when Yun Jian kicked over the door when she appeared, Lin Xingyuan was so frightened that his whole body trembled. Then, he stared at Yun Jian and asked in a trembling voice. Zhang Xiaomei, who was standing beside Lin Xingyuan, rolled her eyes and suddenly glared fiercely at Yun Jian. Then, she leaned over to Lin Xingyuan's ear and whispered a few words. Ha, this little friend. Thank you so much for coming here to see you for the last time. As her father, I really welcome you. I wonder if you have any requests you can ask me. Lin Xingyuan looked at Yun Jian with his ugly and fat face and spoke with a fawning expression. Come here. Yun Jian said expressionlessly as she glanced at Lin Xingyuan from the corner of her eyes. After saying that, Lin Xingyuan obediently ran over. While running over, Lin Xingyuan also carefully looked at Yun Jian. This little girl is so pretty. If he could be like Zhang Xiaomei, that little slut, and take this little girl into his harem. Lin Xingyuan had an evil thought in his heart. This little girl was only 2 years younger than Zhang Xiaomei. Although he was 1 or 2 years older than them, he was rich. Moreover, an older man would dote on her. Lin Xingyuan muttered in his heart. Could it be that this little girl had taken a fancy to him? After all, there weren't many men who were as rich and doted on women as he was. While thinking, Lin Xingyuan arrived in front of Yun Jian. Yun Jian had already noticed that Zhang Xiaomei had sneaked out the door, but she was too lazy to pay attention to her. Instead, she stood in front of Lin Xingyuan and threw a white piece of paper in front of him. Pick it up and read it. Lin Xingyuan was afraid that Yun Jian would make a move on him. He quickly picked up the white note on the ground and read it. You, Daddy loves you. What the hell was this? Lin Xingyuan was just thinking about it when he saw Yun Jian take out a codebook that wasn't too thick, but it wasn't too thin either. She asked him to get someone to bring a basin of fire. Yun Jian burned the codebook in front of everyone. Other than Yun Jian, no one else knew or saw that there was a small piece of paper on the last page of the codebook. That small piece of paper, along with the codebook, was completely buried in the basin of fire. A second before it was destroyed, Lin Zhiyue's fresh and delicate words were still flickering in the light of the fire. My wish. I really want to hear Daddy say it again. You, Daddy loves you. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2364. No one knew what Yun Jian was doing just now. They all thought that Yun Jian was crazy. But at this moment, as the master of the Lin family, Lin Xingyuan didn't say anything. Naturally, the VIPs and guests who were invited to the Lin family were even more unwilling to appear. When the small note and codebook in front of everyone's eyes completely disappeared along with the fire in the basin, Yun Jian turned and walked towards the door when the fire in the basin started to fade. Behind Yun Jian was the flickering fire, and Yun Jian walked towards the Lin family's door under everyone's eyes. She accepted her wish on her behalf. She didn't have the right to care about other things. Everyone had their own fate. Yun Jian wasn't someone who meddled in other people's business. Just as Yun Jian walked out of the Lin family's door, Zhang Xiaomei, who had snuck out just now, suddenly brought a group of bodyguards and blocked Yun Jian at the Lin family's door. That's her. She was so cocky just now. She even threw a knife in front of Lin Jiayue and said something like, "The number of souls that died under my butterfly knife is exactly 5,000 people." So cocky, so cocky. Zhang Xiaomei brought a group of bodyguards and blocked Yun Jian's way. Little girl, you're so young, but you know how to brag? You even said that you killed 5,000 people? So cocky. Then little girl, may I ask when you started killing people? 8 years old? Or 9? Ha 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 ha. You don't even have a draft when you're lying. You kill people every day. It's extremely difficult for you to kill 5,000 people. Even professional killers aren't as cocky as you. I'm impressed by your bragging. I can't help but be impressed. Haha. When one of the bodyguards heard Zhang Xiaomei's words, he chuckled and said coldly. At this moment, Lin Xingyuan and the guests in the room were all gathered at the door. Zhang Xiaomei actually went to call the bodyguards to save the situation. This group of bodyguards has been through life and death situations. I heard that they once rescued their employer from the hands of an international top-secret agent. That's why Big Boss Lin hired them. No matter how good this little girl is, she can't go against the heavens. I reckon that not long after this little girl's bragging will explode. Someone said excitedly, "There's going to be a good show. This little girl is really brave, but it's useless no matter how brave she is." The surrounding people started to discuss again. When Lin Xingyuan heard what the people around him said, he lifted his head smugly, no longer looking fearful of Yun Jian like he did just now. At the same time, Yun Jian, who stood in front of the bodyguards, suddenly took out a transparent glove from her pocket and put it on slowly in front of everyone as she spoke. "I'm not sure if I'll be able to do anything." A bodyguard from the International Olin Group Bodyguard Company? Hearing this, the group of bodyguards standing in front of Yun Jian, who were excitedly watching Yun Jian put on the glove, were stunned. One of the bodyguards stood in front of Yun Jian and said, "How did you know?" Hearing this, the guests Lin Xingyuan, Zhang Xiaomei, and the others were all stunned. However, before the crowd could react, Yun Jian spoke again. Her voice was mixed with a hint of arrogance. The next moment, the words that came out of her mouth made everyone present feel a wave of fear. "Coincidentally, I have a grudge against the International Olin Group bodyguards. Since you've delivered yourself to my doorstep, I'll send you on your way. Please remember the domain name of this book, .com. Wonderful Book Mobile Version Website, .com. Chapter 2365. As soon as Yun Jian finished speaking, the surrounding people didn't even know when Yun Jian held the 2 shiny butterfly knives in her beautiful hands that had just put on transparent gloves. When everyone present reacted to Yun Jian's words, their hearts suddenly trembled, and their faces suddenly changed. Lin Xingyuan, who was standing not far away, suddenly stared at Yun Jian and said loudly, "Your weapon! Isn't your weapon already on the table in front of the morning hall? Why do you still have a knife on you?" Just now, Yun Jian placed her only weapon in front of Lin Jiayue's urn and portrait. The clothes she was wearing weren't thick. Just from the appearance, it seemed that she had already handed over all her weapons. That was why Lin Xingyuan dared to stand in front of all the guests and take the lead to look directly at Yun Jian. Hearing this, Yun Jian didn't reply to Lin Xingyuan's words. She just held her 2 butterfly knives and rubbed the blades of the 2 butterfly knives against each other. Then her eyes slightly raised. "What did you say? The previous chairman and president of our Olin Group Bodyguard Company were killed by you. Then you are." The bodyguard who represented the bodyguards to speak to Yun Jian heard Yun Jian's words and spoke again in a frightened tone. The sudden change in the bodyguard's expression made everyone present dumbfounded. "What's going on?" The previous chairman and president of our Olin Group Bodyguard Company suddenly died. I heard that it was done by a woman who was 165 meters tall, had a slender figure, and wore a ghost mask on her face. That woman carried a Gatling gun in front of all the company's executives and directly killed the previous chairman and president in the company's board of directors meeting. In the future, the company's executives directly issued an order that if we meet that woman in the ghost mask in the future, we must back down. Another bodyguard trembled as he recounted what had happened that year in front of everyone present. The meaning of these words was that the bodyguards of the International Olin Group Bodyguard Company must never provoke the other party. Even if they didn't listen to their employer's orders, they were not allowed to provoke that terrifying woman. Oh, I thought that those guys would secretly send people to hunt me down. I didn't expect that they would forget about the past and even order their subordinates not to attack me. When Yun Jian heard the bodyguard's words, her deep eyes narrowed slightly and her beautiful red arc calmed down. Could it be that this girl was someone that even the International Olin Bodyguard Company didn't dare to provoke? After hearing the bodyguard's words, Lin Xingyuan's heart suddenly trembled, but he suddenly let out a big sigh of relief. Since she knew that her former enemy didn't care about the past and decided to make a move on her, then this young lady probably wouldn't make a move on this group of bodyguards, right? At this moment, Lin Xingyuan was afraid that he would be implicated, so he was so scared that his expression changed. He forced a harmless smile on his face. Just as Lin Xingyuan was thinking this, Yun Jian's crisp voice sounded as expected. Then I won't kill you. After these words were spoken, for some reason, under Yun Jian's oppressive aura, everyone heaved a huge sigh of relief. Lin Xingyuan also heaved a huge sigh of relief. However, just when Lin Xingyuan and everyone present thought that Yun Jian would stop, a scene that made everyone forget to breathe suddenly occurred in the next second. Just as Yun Jian was about to hide the butterfly knife at the tight part of her thigh, she fiercely swung the butterfly knife in one hand. In front of everyone present, she controlled the timing and strength of the butterfly knife's blade and threw it more than 10 meters away, directly stabbing one of the bodyguards in between the eyebrows. This bodyguard was the one who said that Yun Jian was really good at bragging. The knife pierced 3 inches into the wood between the eyebrows. This bodyguard was already dead before he even realized the danger. He directly fell to the ground dead. When everyone saw this, they were so frightened that their faces suddenly changed. In the next second, Yun Jian's red arc curved. She pursed her lips again in front of everyone present, and then her cold words made everyone present tremble in fear. This is a meeting gift for you. Let me tell you, the new chairman of the Olin Bodyguard Company, don't think that I don't know what he's doing behind my back. Otherwise, I'll go over and take his dog life at any time. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.